Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. To the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for future streams.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
I love decorating the Christmas tree.
I love decorating the Christmas tree as well. It's a wonderful thing. When we start to decorate the trees, well, it's a symbol that the holidays are almost here. I cannot wait. Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
And look at all of the beautiful lights on the tree. I've seen some trees with little white clear lights, some of them that twinkle, some of them that sparkle, and some that are multicolored as well. What is your favorite?
Multicolor.
The rainbow light's a wonderful thing. I think they're all wonderful. And one of my very favorite parts of the tree and decorating the tree is seeing families come together and create some holiday magic. Isn't it wonderful?
It's so wonderful.
Now you see the little lights, though, they're not going to get you on the nice list.
Really?
Do you know what gets you on the nice list, Abby?
No.
Kindness.
Aww.
It's pretty easy if you think about it. It's being kind to those around us and also being kind to ourselves. Isn't it wonderful?
Yes.
Now this is the season of giving. And this is a season also to think of others, a very important thing. One of my very favorite ways to give back to others is to support St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. This is a time where we can think about how we can donate and how best we can do this. And did you know this is a certain way to the nice list?
Really?
Isn't it wonderful?
It is.
Now, the mission of St. Jude, a wonderful thing. Also, the hope of Danny Thomas, the founder, was that no child would ever die of cancer. This is the hope, this is the goal, the mission in looking to the future.
That's amazing.
And every time someone donates to St. Jude, we are a little bit closer to reaching that goal. Isn't it wonderful?
It's wonderful.
Well, let's finish up this tree, Abby. And nicely done, nicely done. Can you hand me another ornament?
Sure.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I usually mute myself before the start of the stream and forgot to unmute. Anyways, my name is Zack Golden. Welcome to another Starbase Weekly live stream. This is actually a special stream this week. If those of you who saw the intro just realized, we are doing a St. Jude's fundraiser. Those of you who've been following the channel for the last few years know that we always do this around Christmas time. So we are doing that again this year, and it's always great to be able to support St. Jude's. With that said, I have seen that a lot of you have already donated. So thank you to everybody who has donated so far. Really quickly, before I introduce our guest today, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that if you would like to donate, do not do it in the super chat feature or on Patreon. There is a donate button on your actual on the screen. So use that instead, or else it won't be counted towards the fundraiser. Also, YouTube normally, well, not normally, they always take out a certain percentage for every donation. So by doing it this way, all of that money will go straight to St. Jude's versus having YouTube take a percentage out. So yeah, and I see everybody in the chat like, hey, you're muted. Yeah, if only there wasn't the delay at the beginning of the stream, I probably would have caught that quicker. So apologies, it's been a while since I've made that mistake. Anyways, we will have several special guests joining us this week. We have Scott Manley, Everyday Astronaut, Alex from NSF, and joining us right now will be Lewis from Lab Padre. So Lewis, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Zach. Good to see you again.
Yeah, welcome, and happy to be here. I think we did this last year, and I wasn't able to be on that show. I think I was working that time. I don't know if we had guests on that stream or not, but I think it's been quite a while since you've been a guest on this show. I want to say like a few years.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. Just wanted to give a shout out to Mauricio, and thanks for having me, and everybody else in the RGV aerial community. Think y'all are doing a great job helping out with St. Jude here, and kudos to you all.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate you for hopping in here. And we also, as always, have Alex joining me. Alex, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Lewis, for joining. This should be a good show. And yeah, back to it.
Yeah, we decided to do things a little bit differently. I obviously do have my camera up. I usually always have that as an option. I don't normally do it because I, kind of like to relax a little bit in the background while I'm doing these streams. Plus, I'm like looking back and forth between multiple screens, so it's not always the best to be on camera for that. But yeah, doing something special. I think possibly Scott, maybe Everyday Astronaut, maybe on camera as well. I don't know if Lab is going to be able to do that, but yeah. Either way, let us get into today's show. We are going to start off at Massey's as always, because y'all know there's a ton going on over there. And I mean, it feels like it never ends. I do think we're finally getting close to the finish line with everything that's been happening with the basically rebuilding the entire methane tank farm and everything related to the static fire test stand. So they're getting close, and it's pretty much right on time, because I think we probably will be seeing some movement of ships here soon, specifically Ship 39, probably within the next 2 weeks or so, will at least come to Massey's to do its first crowd test. So with that, let's go ahead and start off with the static fire test stand, because as y'all know who were watching last week, we were expecting a new structure to be installed out here, and we have finally seen the first of that. So early in the flyover, Mauricio caught it as it was actually being lifted. And this is, you can kind of see it's certain angles are a little bit difficult to see if he's directly overhead. Let me find a better one. Yeah, so you could see the LR 11,000 was preparing to lift this, and as we expected last week, they are installing this around that static fire test stand, specifically the gantry where all of the plumbing is located for the QD. And now we have finally seen them install that first piece of that truss structure. And here's a good shot of that once it's installed. Actually, let me find another one backed out a little bit. Yeah, so this is installed basically around all the plumbing on the backside, which is interesting. And as of this week, we still don't really know what is going on here. I do want to see if Alex has had an opinion come up yet, or any thoughts and ideas on what exactly is going on here. But we do know that this is going to be about the height of probably just below the top of the ship. So it's actually very interesting. And Alex, have you come up with any thoughts on this?
Just same as before, the HLS related, if they're going to be doing any sort of sea level firing as they're landing engines, which seems a bit dubious, and then of course the long shot, they're going to use it to transfer vehicles from stand to stand. But that's my more crazy, outlandish idea.
Yeah, I'm curious. What do you guys think about the general current progress, I guess, of HLS? Like, do you guys would have expected to see more HLS related things by now, or do you feel like it's kind of running as expected? I mean, I know that like Blue Origin has released a lot of content related to what they're doing. A lot more than SpaceX has related to HLS. So I think I've heard a lot of kind of criticism related to that it doesn't seem like they're making very much progress. So I'm kind of curious what your guys' thoughts are on that.
Well, I will say,
Go ahead, Lab.
no, I was just going to say, it does seem like they are taking a bit of time, but all these pictures here, they're a little over my pay grade, so I'm going to let you all chime in a little bit more on that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, we have seen the mystery structure that's been set up at McGregor, which we believe is something related to HLS testing, possibly. Whether it's the special thrusters that they need, or potentially even landing hardware. But yeah, it's interesting that they're kind of seem to be behind schedule. But in my opinion, it's not all that surprising. I feel like it's very important to get the V2 and V3 vehicles finished first, and kind of everything HLS related is really all up in the nose cone. You know what I mean? So it's not like they're developing a special tank section. I mean, there will be a lot of differences between that tank section and a normal ship. However, the actual function of that main fuel tank, engines, and all that stuff will basically be the same, and you're kind of really just swapping out the nose cone. Obviously, you don't have tiles or anything either, but yeah, I mean, I guess I do to some degree hope this might be HLS related. I'm not really sure how that would work. And as far as things you need for HLS testing, one of the biggest ones is those thrusters. And so given where this, we're expecting this to be as far as height goes on the ship, I feel like this is this, like, you wouldn't want this if you were doing HLS thruster testing, because you'd be firing some of your engines basically through this stand, which is weird.
Yeah, I think the fuel transfer is probably the life support, a lot of experience from Dragon. How much of that's probably transferable? Hardening the electronics, we wouldn't see any of that, wouldn't be very visible.
Right.
And, maintaining pressure, the pressure hull, because essentially, like you said, pretty much from the the payload to the nose is all that would be visibly, other than the heat shield and flaps, different.
Yeah. And I would bring up maybe I should bring up another image just for those who don't know what we're talking about as far as that, what the full frame looks like. But we do have, I can just really quickly, they did move the upper section of this truss over to the storage yard. So these two sections that go on top, they've been moved to the storage yard. And then as of, I think last night, they moved these cross beams basically. They basically stacked them all up on SPMTs right here and then shipped those out to Massey's last night. So yeah, it's a bit of a slow process getting all of this assembled. Definitely, compared to what's going on with the Gigabay, super slow, because all of these tabs that are on here and the gusset plates are all kind of hand welded onto here, which definitely is not necessarily how they would come out if they were done at a fabrication shop. They would send it out with all of that stuff pre-installed. So they're basically, I think this crane is holding it in position while they were not only lining it up, but in doing the first of their what do you call them? When you weld them down, I'm thinking tack welding. Yeah, when you tack weld it down, and basically making sure that it's in the proper position before you actually finish those welds. So quite the process to actually get this installed. And I'm not sure if the crane is still holding it as of this morning, but it took them about at least 3 days so far to try and get this attached.
Well, if you look at the other legs, they completely took off what they had staged last week with some of the plates.
You're talking about over here?
Yeah, and everything sort of to ease their installation, because on the other side they took apart some of the bottom of the truss.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I think they did that to get it around the plumbing. So
the propellant.
Yeah, you have all these propellant lines down here, so they took off this beam that goes across down here just to get it around all of this. Very, very interesting, to say the least. Yeah, I mean, I think my opinion hasn't really changed, and my opinion was not having an opinion, because I don't really know at all what this might be used for. And I mean, a lot of times, we do have ideas and they just make sense right from the beginning. This is one of those things where I'm like, something's missing here, and I none of the theories are currently resonating with me. But we do have some weird changes going on also to the structure that goes on top of the gantry, or the truss. I'm trying to see if I can have a better close-up down here.
I will say that Caden, our newest commentator, will be touching on this subject a little bit in our weekly update that's going to go out here in about an hour or so. Of course, not as much detail as you're going into here, but yeah, if I encourage y'all to go check it out after this stream is over. Go check out our newest weekly update, number 198.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. There's always, I feel like once every quarter, there's, one or two mysteries that we end up running into, which is always fun trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, the big clue with this one is what's going on the top of the truss, which is this platform. So it's kind of weird. It seems like they are cutting out all of I can't tell if they're actually cutting these out, the floor panels, and replacing them with the graded panels.
Yeah, I don't remember if it had a floor last week.
It did. The whole thing came with the floor, so it seems like you can see all these panels that they have laying around everywhere down here.
Let me get you water, Bubba. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, I think we got... Is that Todd over there?
I'll get you water right now.
Andy. I think that's
Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, so very interesting, and like I said, I'm not sure what more we can add to this until we kind of see the missing components. Because what we're waiting on is to see what gets mounted onto these large tabs on the end. So something is missing, and I was kind of hoping that we would get to see that this week, but no luck yet. So we're still waiting on, I feel like, another major component to come in. So we'll see. We'll see next week. But I think we did at least solve one mystery for this week, which was what's going on behind the little berm they set up over here. And as always, it's sometimes difficult to scroll through these thumbnails at the bottom to find the perfect shot, but stand by. There we go.
I do have to say that, speaking of mysteries, the Massey's Outpost is one of my favorite facilities out there because there is so much mystery and it's hard for us to see what's going on. And, without Mauricio and his awesome photos, we wouldn't be able to check out from overhead what's going on out there. And yeah, I love the Massey's Outpost other than the launch site, but
Yeah.
Massey's is a really cool site.
I mean, the only thing that sucks about Massey's is just not being able to really get cameras out there. I've always hoped that, I don't know, somebody would get lucky and SpaceX would allow, like cameras to be mounted somewhere because, well, I don't think they do it as much anymore. I know they used to watch, the live stream cameras quite a lot, but I think they have like dramatically stepped up their own on-site cameras.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I know that they have their own internal live streams that are kind of like streaming all of their sites at the same time. So
Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility of one of us getting a camera out there one of these days. So you never know.
yeah, that would be nice.
Gotta
And
leave
I
with
had that
AT&T.
image, a really good image up, and I just lost it. But I think this one might do. And Lab, you may have something to say about this one. It's actually pretty interesting. So we did see this barrier that was set up here last week, these HESCO barriers that were filled with gravel. And we did see like one pipe laying on the ground right here on the other side of the wall. But as of this week now, we kind of know exactly what they're doing over here, which is very interesting. So they have set up these test stations right here, which each have 4 hoses coming off of them. And over the past week, we have seen all of the COPVs removed from Ship 39. So I'm actually not sure if they ended up replacing them or if they only removed them. But we did see all of those COPVs removed, and really cool on the backside of the Mega Bay 2, you can see all of those COPVs laying on the ground here. So as you can see, they're in pairs, which I'm not sure if they've always been this way or if this might be a result of the issues that they had with Ship 36. And I think part of their solution to that problem was to basically double the amount of COPVs, and so that they're spreading out that basically the capacity through double the amount of pressure vessels, so that they're not having to have as high of a pressure in those COPVs. Alex, you may be able to explain that part a little bit better.
I wasn't really a fan of. I mean, your pressure vessels are rated for, and CLPVs especially. I mean, you can get 1,200 bar COPVs. So I'm more curious if it's the procedural issues that's causing them to rupture. Because the other issue, you have your whatever they're supplying pressure, and just increasing the volume of lower pressure won't work if you don't have enough pressure gradient to use them. Because, I mean, your Raptor startup is probably 700. I mean, it's a lot higher pressure than their 3,000 psi
That they're rated
derated
for.
tanks are. Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
they have 350 bar. They're pressurizing some of them too, which I think that's more for their startup sequence.
Yeah, it's fairly interesting. I mean, another thing is that we can tell these are from the ship because of the orange protective covers on them, which they have not done on the booster yet. And another interesting thing here, and now that I was saying, with I'm not sure if those are the new COPVs that we were looking at, or if they had removed all of the old ones and brought them into the factory, because we can see a cart down here that has 3 COPVs. I think it's missing a fourth for some reason. And then actually Anthony from Rocket Ranch sent me a image that he saw as he was driving by Massey's, the entrance to Massey's, and you could see 3 carts right here with COPVs on them. So basically after I think it was like just a few hours after the flyover, they had started moving those COPVs here. And so this is pretty interesting because it seems like this is a reaction to what happened with Booster 18 as far as the timing goes. However, these are clearly ship COPVs, which, I mean, I feel like they're, other than the protective covering, they're pretty much the same, right? I think the boosters may be slightly larger, longer for sure. But I don't know. It seems like they're going just either trying to knock off a verification test, like for procedure wise, as far as filling them, or I don't know. Do you think, Alex, maybe that this might be like a permanent testing station? Like every COPV before it gets installed, they bring them out here and test them. Like, do you see any reason to do that?
I mean, it's for pressure vessels. You do non-destructive proof testing every couple of years. Anybody's done welding or scuba tanks, you have to have that hydro stamp before they'll usually fill your cylinders. So, but for a lot of that work, you usually use water instead of gas. But their fill regime sensor is significantly different than you would get at a dive shop, for example.
What do you think they would be testing as far as do you think it's just to make sure they're holding the pressure they're designed to, or the actual fill rate or discharge rate? What do you think is their goal?
Personally, I think it's just normal proof testing that trust and verify. Maybe they weren't happy with some of the failure rates coming from their manufacturer. Or part of it, until they started testing everything, I thought it was going to be more of a procedural testing for figuring out if their fill procedures are contributing to their failures.
Yeah, you were saying the other day, when they fill them, they get really hot, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's when you're pumping, since it's coming from high pressure, you sort of have some cooling as you're filling, since you're essentially throttling it through the valve. But then as it's being, because it's all adiabatic, it's all change of pressure without any temperature flow is the basic assumption. So it'll cool down and it'll heat up, but it'll tend to, just from losses, the heat wins out, so it'll heat up the tank. And these they look like Type 4 COPVs, so they're a plastic liner. And there's no metal in them, so how that handles, that changes some of the thermal properties when you're heating and cooling, because they're very susceptible to rise in skin temperature, softening up the epoxy matrix.
Yeah, I guess the main thing here is that they are not necessarily testing to failure. They're kind of hoping that that doesn't happen, right? Even though they have the barrier here just to kind of protect the rest of the tank farm, their goal would not be to destroy these, right? And honestly, I'm kind of questioning whether or not this wall would be enough if there was a failure. I think this would be at risk, and still this tank here, things tend to, when those COPVs rupture, they tend to go flying. So I do wonder how effective this wall would actually be.
There's this, I think it's from earlier this year, NASA had a paper on some of their COPV testing to failures. and most of them getting to rupture at their design pressures as they were using shape charges and it was only the ones that they pressurized failure that they could get to actually blow up on their own in spectacular fashion. So there's quite a substantial safety rating in most of these. So most of this is probably non-destructive.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want a battery of 16 COPVs being tested to failure. That just sounds like needless excitement.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I certainly hope that. I mean, the good news is that we can actually see them, making moves to address an issue. Because sometimes, especially if the fixes are mostly internal to the vehicles, sometimes you don't actually get to see what they do to fix that. So yeah, it's interesting to actually be able to see that they are making moves to address an issue. And I am curious though if this is booster or ship related, even though right now to me it seems like it's mostly to do with the ship. So I think we do have another guest joining us right now who may have an opinion on this. I'm not sure if he's in here yet. Mr. Scott Manley.
Hello.
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 Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Howdy, Scott.
Good to be here.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard our the topic we were discussing, but we were mentioning COPV testing possibly to destruction or hoping they don't get destroyed. I don't know if you have any opinions on the need to test COPVs en masse. Like they basically removed everything from ship 39, basically pulled it through the payload door, I'm guessing, and either replaced all of them immediately or they are still in the process of doing so. And it seems like all of them are coming out here to be pressure tested in some way. So I don't know if you have any.
Do you think this could be part of an investigation? Because I get the feeling that there just may be some mishandling of COPVs going on and they need to figure out how to stop that happening. Because COPVs are a well understood product.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of mishandling, it doesn't necessarily make sense to me. Like, what could you possibly do to a COPV? Like, drop it from like 10 feet in the air? Like, what could you possibly do?
Well, let me tell you. Let's go back to another completely different rocket. Can I go off topic and talk about the Delta II that
definitely
exploded?
Yeah.
So there's a very famous one. The rocket goes up and explodes, and the person in the PA says,
"What's it called?" Maybe I can
an anomaly.
pull up a video for it to go along with your explanation.
Yeah, Delta II GPS. It's very famous. But the rocket, basically, they'd switched over from metal-cased SRBs to composite cases. And at some point after working with those, the team working on the integration on the ground had come up with a new way of moving them around, and they rolled these cases on these trunnions. So there were little wheels providing a pinch point all the way along it. And that's where that weakened the composite along that. So eventually one of these, it just unzipped along that weakened point just because they had rolled it on this small wheel. And composites can be like that.
So are these within the are they inside of the tank?
No, this is on the Delta II. These were the solid boosters on the outside. The point is that it's a perfect example of something that can sound totally innocent, that if you've been used to working with other materials, it might make total sense, but then you maybe hit it, you temporarily exceed some limit, and you weaken the structure so that when it's actually stressed, it breaks at far below its intended pressure levels. That's what I worry about with watching the way they build Starship and Super Heavy.
It's just like overall handling.
Yeah, it's like you can use stuff on steel which you can't use when you've got a composite system. Even though on paper it looks stronger.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that these plastic covers do anything really to protect them?
I think they provide some small stuff. I mean, you can actually damage a COPV beyond uselessness with just like literally box cutters, right? The plastic covers might help a little in that, but equally hitting it hard can damage and weaken your structure. Obviously, I've just got here, so I'm coming in with my opinions, knowing that having watched the whole Titan submersible story as well, another case of small damage over time, mishandling resulting in a catastrophic failure.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if they're that sensitive, like I would be afraid to even handle them. I would probably switch to a different team.
Right. I mean, so these are well understood. I mean, they fly on Falcon 9s all the time, right?
Yeah.
But you've got team in California that's been used to building rockets, and you've got team in Texas who are learning to build rockets. Maybe there's some education that's needed there on how to fully respect the powers and the dangers of composites.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to me that this issue would happen now. You know what I mean? Like I would expect handling issues to have occurred in the early days when they were, this was basically a backyard operation. You know what I mean? Like now they have this really nice star factory, and I'm assuming there's probably a really nice rack where all of these are sitting inside of the factory, and instead of being inside of a tent, a non air conditioned tent with large temperature fluctuations during the day. I would have expected all of their handling issues to have happened years ago.
Yeah, I would have thought that too. But I mean, that was when they were discovering the welding issues early on, right?
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
Do we know when they probably switched to Type 4s, or if they always were using the plastic inner liners, or they may have already gone to the full composites without?
Honestly, like I don't know the differences between the different types of COPVs.
Okay.
That would definitely be a better question for like Jax or Nick, who's paid attention to those things a little bit more closely than I have. Sorry, I'm just double checking on the chat here. Got a lot of things going on, so making sure I'm paying attention to everything that's happening. But yeah, so I mean, more on that COPV topic. There is another tank that they're installing down here, which does not look like a cryogenic storage vessel to me. So I'm wondering if they would potentially be testing these with water, but that would not be enough water, I guess, to fill all of those COPVs. So maybe it is a gaseous pressure test. Yeah, very, very interesting to see that.
Hey, real quick, Zach. Oh, real quick, Zach, I just wanted to let y'all know I need to sign off for now. But thank you all again for having me, Mauricio, and the entire RGV aerial community. Y'all are doing a great job out there helping out St. Jude. Scott, thanks for joining them. We're still waiting for you to come out here and have a launch with us out here. So we need to make it happen.
Got to make it happen.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Well, thank you all again. And don't forget to check out our weekly update later on this afternoon. And until next time, Lab Padre out.
All right, Lab. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
Fly safe.
I guess on that news, on that note, we should probably check in on that fundraiser. Astro Joe, you with us? Or
Indeed, I am. Thank you, Zach, and thanks, Lab, for joining us, and thanks, Scott. Glad to have you here as well. I want to start out by saying, my goodness, what a amazing amount of support so far. We've already raised $3,230. Yeah, big round of applause for everybody. So I want to start out by thanking Not Tom B for $20 donation. Yesterday, even before the stream started, we had Chromatic CC with 100 Mexican pesos. Jane and I both donated a test just to make sure everything was flowing correctly. And then we had Chris Lobb come in with $500. Wow, just amazing. I've got a really tiny one here. Andrew Keating with 50. Josh Berkeley with $100. Yazada with 20. GG with 100. Medinis 20. W4 Riot, 100 Polish zloty. Raptor Jim with 20 pounds. Meg Weaver with $20. Chris L. Zoid, 15 pounds. Maltiro with 20 euros. Just Martin with 50 pounds. Yazada with another $50. Rich R with 500. My goodness, thank you so much, Rich. Bandit, 250. iPhone Mod, 20 Canadian dollars. Astro Magus, 20 euros. Yazada with another 50. Thank you so much, Yazada. Tim Static, $20. Mr. James, $50. Zero Fox, $50. My scrolling didn't work with me. Excuse me for just a second. UK Steve Rhodes, £5. Tony Gomez, $100. Jake Max Q, 20 pounds. Daniel Hogbin, $10. Mikos Kiss, 20 pounds. We've got James Wilson with $20. DMHMT, $10. Rocket Profit, $10. I've got a lot of anonymous donations here. There is a checkbox that you need to tick if you want your name in there. We appreciate your anonymous donations just the same. But if you would like that recognition, please tick that checkbox, and then I'll be able to acknowledge you personally. So with a lot of anonymous donations, I've got 100, 10, 10, 25, 250, 20 euros, 100, 50, another 100. I did see Todd, our very own, this guy donated $100, but he did not check that box, so it came in as anonymous. We've got a $300 anonymous donation and a $50 anonymous donation, and that clears up everything. So thank you all so much. My queue is clear here, but my goodness, that is just amazing support for the kids. That's why we're here today. It's just humbling to see all the support coming in for these kids. St. Jude does so much for the families, for the kids, and it's so important to all of us here at RGV. Thank you so much, Zach.
Yeah, and thank you to everybody again who's donated so far. Really appreciate it and love doing this each year. Right around Christmas time is the time we always do this. So really want to thank everybody who's helped us out so far today. And as always, we will have Jared Isaacman will be matching these donations as well. And also congrats to Jared for the appointment to NASA administrator. That is really awesome news that a lot of us have been, pretty much waiting, 11 months now for this to happen. So really, really excited to see what his plans are and, see if we get some nice turnaround in, I think, a lot of aspects of NASA that I think a lot of us would like to see.
There's no, it doesn't allow me. Video chat isn't available for more than 25.
we're trying to get Scott on camera here, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to make that work.
Yep.
Maybe he's lounging like I am.
Really quickly, I'm going to speed through some small details here so I can get to other topics that Scott will probably be more interested in discussing. So really quickly, we do have, I know a lot of y'all were kind of been following what's going on with this bunker. They have added like a weird little step down here with some gravel to kind of fill this in. Just we still are expecting some shielding around the rest of this plumbing, but we'll see if that ends up happening. I did mention that the methane tank farm mostly completed. They have done some testing of the actual systems back here this past week, and I think the week before as well too. So we have seen the fact that the flare stack is active back here is a good sign. It means that they have already started filling these tanks again, which means that the farm is probably mostly back up and running. So that's good news. Let's see, down here with the cryo testing stations, they did move ship 39.1 off of the ship cryo test stand, and that is now just kind of sitting on some little pedestals down here. The cryo stand moved to Sanchez, and they're currently adding clamps on there for the ship because it was they didn't have those installed yet with this test article because it doesn't have any kind of clamping mechanism. So once they add those clamps on, we'll probably see ship 39 come out here for testing. In the meantime, they're also adding the actual QD mechanism onto here because they had not upgraded this to the new ship QD yet. So we'll be seeing that soon. The booster cryo test stand is still being repaired. They finally removed the aero covers that were just like laying all over here, and now they're replacing all the panels that got damaged from that booster 18 incident. But one last thing. Looks like we're finally starting to see some progress with the new LOX pumps that we've been waiting for. So they did finally bring in the first of those new, sorry, I'm trying to grab a better image down here. We've been curious for a long time, like what is going on with these pumps because they are very different. They seem like they're from either from a different manufacturer or something like that, but they have kind of like basically I don't know how you want to describe like what they're doing here when they're splitting it like this, Alex, but they're basically running like a split system where you have two pumps on the same manifold. I'm not really sure what the purpose of that is, though. Do you have any thoughts on that, Alex?
Not too much, just their tandem. The only thing is if they want a whole lot more flow control, since more pumps easier too, but efficiency losses.
Yeah, it's interesting though, but we will be seeing these, I'm guessing by the time, but the fact that they're installing these now tells me that we might see them in time for booster 19 testing. And I had mentioned a few weeks ago as booster 19 was rolling out that we would start to see them do full cryo tests, which I think I would have ended up being wrong about. And I do think there is a chance that we will see it with booster 19. So they have added all of these high pressure gas cylinders underneath the tanks down here. So you can see there's quite a lot of them down there. And this is, like I said last week, the reason why they've never used these tanks. So their liquid oxygen capacity was essentially limited to these three tanks up until now. And once they have all of these installed, and I'm guessing there's probably a vaporizer and pump system that is a part of this, so they can actually vaporize liquid oxygen, store it in those tanks, and use that as the pressurization system for these tanks. Because before that, they could have used the tanks, but they didn't have a way of they didn't have a pressure building system, which is required. As you remove fluid, you have to inject gas in order to maintain operational pressures for these tanks, and that they just, for some reason, for the last year and a half, did not have that installed here, so they just weren't able to use them. So now that they have those, we will probably start to see a full cryo tests return for boosters, which will be interesting. I am very curious if it's even necessary, because like the obviously with the last so booster 9 through 17 were all cryo tested just one tank at a time, and I don't know if there's really any advantage with doing both at the same time, other than the fact that that's you never only have one tank filled, you always have two tanks. Oh, there we go, we got Scott on camera there. Nice.
Finally relented.
Good job. Are you in a different studio this week?
I'm in my usual studio.
Okay.
Still have the red dressing gown there, which I occasionally bring out.
I guess maybe you might have an opinion on this, Scott. Like, what with the ship, they always cryo test both tanks at the same time. That's like more realistic for flight conditions because you obviously will never have just one tank filled. Do you think it's odd that they've only been testing one tank at a time with boosters? Like, is there any reason not to?
I mean, the reason you wouldn't test tanks separately is because you've got this common dome, and dome inversion is a big dangerous thing. You need to make sure you're pressurized on each side to stop that flipping. But I mean, maybe with the large downcomer, the transfer tube, maybe that's less of an issue because it's such a big structural component.
Right.
I don't honestly know, but that's
I mean, their testing is just changing a lot in general right now. One of the other big things that we've kind of noticed is with their test articles. So, for one, and this may just be a result of the incidents that we've seen that this is lined up this way, but for the most part, it seems like their actual structural qualification test articles for boosters are fully being tested before we see the first flight articles tested, which in the past, they would already be approaching static fire testing, and they're still just starting to get into the actual test articles, which is backwards. I've always been concerned about that process, but now they've seemed to completely have flipped that around. And again, if not for the issue with Booster 18, it probably wouldn't necessarily be this way. But up to this point, I think we've seen 12 cryo tests with the 18.1 test article, which is has the aft section and the I think common dome assembly, and I think the transfer tube assembly is all they've been testing with this one. And then 18.3 is the forward section, common dome, and I also think it has some transfer tube elements going on here too, because they have some hydraulic actuators poking through the actual common dome. But I think they've had 8 tests with this one, which combined, these two have been tested more than any other vehicle or test article. It's kind of crazy. 12 tests with this is pretty insane. You can actually see they just finished one down here. So quite rigorous. I mean, and they've, I don't know if we've addressed this previously. They actually even have 2 pipes going to the new, I guess you could call them the umbilicals for the Raptor engines. So where they had the umbilicals on the actual, directly on the engine, the Raptor QDs used to attach to. Now they have these little ports on the side where all of that, those gases and comms and stuff get routed through. So they got pipes connected to those. They're doing all kinds of rigorous testing, which I think, in my opinion, we would have hoped or expected to see this extreme testing from the beginning, but it seems like it's just now starting as far as the true, like, cover every single base, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you got a lot of teams working at different rates, and they're just trying to integrate these in opportunistically. So the scheduling seems to change from one booster to the next. And new ideas, I think, keep on getting integrated.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is one of the things that kind of separate them from other launch providers, which is most of them, they go very, very deep into this process, right? Like and SpaceX to some degree seems like they kind of just like skim the surface, and now they've kind of realized that, like, all right, we got to stop doing that.
Yeah. I just remembered something you were talking. I was mentioning like bulkhead or common bulkhead inversion as a potential problem if you got your pressures mismatched. I don't know if you remember, but the very first Starship like high altitude flight, that ultimately is what caused the green flame at the end. Is the pressure flows and stuff resulted in the fuel header tank getting lower pressure than the oxygen or the fuel tank, and it got imploded, and that caused it to start leaking. I don't know if you remember that particular thing, but that was ultimately revealed, perhaps maybe only through insiders, but that was a dome inversion situation.
Yeah, which is crazy, because that's just like one of those things where if you have an extreme testing procedure on the ground, you would catch stuff like that. So
if you'd run through a complete flight situation, yeah.
I mean, it's good to see it. Like, I feel like they've reached that point in the program where there's just like so much money invested that you kind of can't necessarily do the fly and fix approach as much. Like they're still doing that, but they don't. They want to be tweaking small things, not like things that can result in like catastrophic failure of the vehicle.
Yeah, and they need someone at every step now who knows. They must have gone through over 5 years, a whole bunch of ideas that will keep coming back, because you'll have new people coming in and they'll be like, I know how we can make this better, and they'll have to be the wise old person that's been there for a whole 6 months to say, no, we tried that already. And here's why you don't do it. The industry or development is full of great ideas that have to get shot down based on previous experience.
Good old tribal knowledge.
Yeah, tribal knowledge.
While your 6-month comment was a joke, it's actually not at the same time, because I think that's one thing that's kind of hurt them a little bit, is just the massive turnover rate, which is primarily due to like the pace that they move at, that a lot of people aren't able to keep up with that. I think a lot of people will stay there for like 2 or 3 years and then like, all right, well, I kind of would rather have a personal life and all this stuff, so I'll go over to Blue Origin. So I think that while they are well aware that it's happening and they don't necessarily care because they know they're always going to have top talent coming to them, I do think there are some downsides to that, which is that, tribal knowledge maybe not necessarily getting passed down quite the same as it would, when you have a company full of people who've been there for 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, SpaceX still feels like a startup, and a lot of startups tend to not be great at documenting everything in a way that is useful for future generations. And I'm wondering if, SpaceX Boca Chica is like a startup within SpaceX, which is sort of matured at this point, but it's come back to this point where maybe it's not, running all the documentation quite as much as they would require, let's say.
Yeah.
I feel attacked.
I say that as someone who never wants to write documentation. I've been there.
I have as well too, and it's not fun at all. I may end up coming back to Massey's, but I want to keep moving to the bigger topics, just to kind of respect Scott's time. So
I don't know about any of this stuff. I'm always looking to you for, I'll tell you when things explode, but the details of this mechanics, I'm constantly in awe of your ability to pull this apart.
It's difficult to keep up with, I'll tell you that. I tend to, when I'm working on one topic, kind of ignore everything else. And, I used to try and keep up with everything at the same time, but now I'm just like, I can't do that. Like I have to focus on one thing, and then I'm constantly going back to relearn stuff that I should have been paying attention to the whole time. I'm not sure if there's anything that we should cover at Sanchez right now.
Yeah.
I'm curious about your thoughts about the Gigabay. It's actually a fun topic for us, kind of trying to figure out what their goals are for the future as far as their assembly process. And this is actually I think the Gigabay has turned out a lot different than a lot of us were expecting in some ways, as far as predicting how things are going to move around. So, one of the things that we talked about last week was just the way that they've installed the doors on this building. So we can see on, I guess this side view right here, they have the doors that are basically right above the top of the Star Factory. So there's 6 of them along these workstations, which we've kind of assumed means that they're going to be bringing things in from the factory, from that side of the factory. So sorry, let me get a better side view of that. It's not the one. Yeah, so you'll basically have
temporary structure there. Yeah,
rolling out of the Star Factory, and basically you have an aisle in between, so you have tank sections that can roll out and then through the side of these workstations. So we did have, this was one thing that I wanted to pull up earlier that I didn't do in time. Niall, sorry if I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Anderson, he made a really cool little diagram, I guess, to kind of show what this is going to look like. So let me see if I can actually pull that up here really quick, because it's worth showing. And of course, he has a ton of posts, so I got to scroll through a bunch of them to try and find what I'm looking for.
I know. I mean, whenever something goes wrong, I'm always like running around trying to collect what everybody else thinks and make sure that what I think is consistent. So you're always, really important on that.
Well, this is one of them right here, actually. If I can just pull this up. Sorry. Gotta swap things over to... Oh, okay. That didn't work out the way I thought. You gotta love the random features in the browsers that don't work the way you want them to. So this is basically kind of looking at it from the side. So like you have from the front right here. You have your big doors in the front that go all the way up to the top, and then the doors on the side, which we're kind of thinking allows them to like maybe extend a bridge crane into that aisle between the Star Factory and the Gigabay. So you have things come out of the factory, get lifted by a bridge crane. Well, sorry, you have to have another bridge crane in the actual factory to lift your booster section up, bring in the new section, set that down on the turntable, move the bridge crane out of the way, and then lower the next vehicle back down on top. So kind of you can kind of predict the way that their operations are going to work just simply based on the presence of certain things like those doors. And I don't know if he has the other angle that kind of shows the back side, but in the back, you can see they've got doors, which initially most of us thought that these were going to be all the way up to the roof. So you'd basically have full vehicles be able to move on either side. And that's was primarily due to the fact that we are expecting these two bays to be eliminated, and then you would have a phase 2 of this building, which would be twice the length, essentially. So, but what we can tell is that they're not going to do that as far as letting vehicles move back and forth. So it's like you have this bay is its own thing, and then that bay is its own thing, technically. Actually, it's really 4 buildings in one. So like this
it's a lot of buildings, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have this. I would consider this to be one building, and then this to be another one. Then they just like kind of share a common roof, but it's really interesting. It seems to me like a lot of the processes that they've developed for stacking may go out the window. And like one of the big things is, I mean, I know you've seen, Scott, when they bring out the huge transfer tubes, like those things stretch nearly from the door all the way to between the Star Factory to the Mega Bay. So one of the things I'm noticing is that they just like don't have space to. I don't know how they're going to get those in here.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a Tetris problem, right? Very careful geometry. An army of ants moving an odd shape through various structures. Yeah.
Have you ever had a tour of Starbase?
I've never managed to get to Starbase because things are always happening. It's so embarrassing. It really is. Especially since I'm going to go to the Astro Awards and I'm not going to get to go then because I've had other requirements. So, I've retired, but not really.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, if you had to tour one of these 2 buildings with them both being completed, which one would you go for?
I think I'd like to get on the Gigabay and figure out how to base jump off it.
Yeah, I can't even imagine just being inside of this once it's complete. It's just so 24 workstations is crazy to me. It's hard imagining the need for that now. Like obviously with their goals in the future, it makes a ton of sense, but
everything here is a prototype, right? Even if they never launch this often from Boca Chica, it's the sort of development for how they're going to do it elsewhere.
Right.
So they're possibly overbuilding a lot of the stuff in anticipation of understanding how they need to do it elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool to watch, and we've seen this week they're smoking the guys down in Florida. They both sites have 4 cranes, but this one they are doing 24-hour ops, so they've easily caught up to where they are in Florida. They're about to start that next level, so probably today, if I had to guess, if not tomorrow. So they're moving on to that 3rd level, and I mean they're basically at this rate doing one level every 2 weeks, I want to say. 2.5, almost 3 weeks. They're moving so quickly that BJ was mentioning this earlier, that they've kind of got to get caught up with installing bolts. So there's just like, if you watch them on NASA Spaceflight or Lab Padre, it's really funny because you'll see them put up these columns and they'll install like maybe 1 or 2 bolts in there and they'll do the whole floor like that. And then the guys have to come in. You have guys coming in installing the flooring, but before that, you have guys coming in installing bolts. And so they actually have these. If I get like an overhead view.
I mean, is that possibly because they want the structure to relax and make sure that the bolts are installing the structure near its sort of final resting point?
It's like squaring everything.
Yeah. You know, there's like I was having to do a repair on something and I realized I had to undo all the stuff slightly to let it reach its final position before tightening.
Yeah.
That's exactly. And they're also straightening out the frame at the same time for the same reasons, getting everything to relax. And
there is a huge amount of engineering and physics that goes into bolts.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. And each one of these beams has like, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and like 40 bolts on them. So you got they got these baskets over here where they finished this entire level, and then each crane has their own basket, and they're just lifting guys up there installing bolts for the last like few days. So they're trying to like get caught up with actually installing all this stuff, which is entertaining to watch, to say the least. Like I find myself getting distracted watching them do this. But yeah, tons of great progress. And Alex, I'm curious about these doors. Like, do you think that I guess one of the things that I wasn't able to find in that image from Niall is that we're thinking maybe that they're going to build basically a overhead or a roof over the transfer aisle between the factory and the building and the Gigabay, and then possibly another one behind this, which is what I'm thinking with the fact that they have this door here. Like, imagine you want tank sections to be able to move up this aisle and into here. Maybe. Or maybe it's just for cranes, but I assume they'll probably have like a whole transfer aisle between these two buildings because I don't know if you can, if it would work building them right up against each other without a transfer aisle.
Currently, the way this is being framed is for ones are exterior roll-up doors.
Oh yeah.
And I can't tell.
Kind of like the ones over here, these doors.
Yes.
So you tuck them in behind this.
Yeah, that's a lower header, and then the door mechanism sits on top of it. But the framing above it looks very reminiscent of all of the perimeter framing. So it's not currently looking like it'll be easily removable at a future date.
Yeah, I just get VAB vibes when I'm looking at this, and this is like kind of something I was hoping to see from the very beginning, was a structure like this where you can, walk platforms on each level, which they've installed over time, and especially in Mega Bay 2. But this makes the funny thing about this, and I'm sure Scott's probably heard background talk of this, is that NASA originally wanted SpaceX to fill a few of the bays in the VAB. I think they wanted them to take 2 of them. And SpaceX was like, no, like, and it makes sense when you look at this. They could not do what they're doing here inside of the VAB. Like,
plus, there's the whole thing that is a federally owned building, and the regulations will be different in there. And I think that's almost a bigger driver.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think being in there would just slow them down.
Yeah, I think they would. I mean, and possibly might stop COPV damage.
For sure.
It might make them think about a few different. I'm not. Again, there's a lot. Everyone's working hard here, but sometimes, sometimes slow is fast, right?
Yeah, but currently they're like for their workflow, it's being set up, stack and send to proof, and then comes back in the other side for finishing for reels. So
Yeah.
I don't know how that would have carried over with the VAB extensively modified.
Yeah. You know, there are some functions of this building that I feel like a lot of us are only going to be able to guess at, and I'm hoping that one of these days we'll get somebody to get in there and get us a good view of the interior operations. And the person who I'm hoping will be able to pull that off just joined us. So I don't know if he's up on the screen yet, but Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, thanks for hopping in here with us.
Hey guys, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. Thanks for joining us for the St. Jude's fundraiser. Appreciate you being in here with us.
Heck yeah, no, always fun. Mega uber gigabay here. Yeah, man, I would love to poke my head around in there someday. I just never know how those things work. Like, you know, half the time it's just a random message from a certain man at a certain rocket company at 2 a.m. It would be like, let's do a video tomorrow or something. I'll be like, oh, I'm in the wrong state, you know.
Hey.
Overnight, you're still down there?
I have had some weird, like one of them, the last time I think I did a tour like that, I was literally walking into the room to meet all the folks at Blue to do that tour at Blue Origin, and literally saw on like 20 minutes earlier or something, Elon posted on X saying, I'll show Everyday Astronaut this on a tour next week. And I was like, what? And they're like, oh, you're touring with Elon next week. And they're kind of, I mean, they're teasing me more about it, but it's just like, yeah. I'm like, I guess so. I'm finding out when you guys are. Like, I had no idea. So you never know. We can keep our fingers crossed.
You would be thinking there was so much planning that goes into that, you know?
Yep, nope. So there has been in the past, the last couple ones have been just literally like on the fly. So yeah, that's the way it works sometimes.
Yeah, those are always like big videos for you, the tours, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it piques everybody's curiosity. You actually get a peek behind the curtain. So it's like, of course, people are going to be really excited about that. So, and I get excited whether or not, I mean, obviously the fact that I get to have a camera there is really fun, but just even going on the inside of that place is pretty magical in general. It's crazy. And it's
I mean, there must be a ton of post work in the editing because you didn't plan any of it. And now all the ITAR people are like, no, we've got to see your film. Right.
Yep. Oh yes. That's actually the hardest part. Probably it's just and right now, for instance, today I'm hoping I will be posting a new video with Stoke Space, and that's half of the thing with these tours is like just the kind of the back and forth and the editing and the flagging of sensitive information and waiting for all that kind of stuff to make sure it's safe to go public. So that's another one that I'm really excited about. I'm always excited about that company as well.
Yeah.
How do you, is it weird for you, like having been inside of all these facilities, just seeing the amount of change just since the last time you've been down there?
Yeah. I mean, I can't even believe it. I can't keep up with it anymore. Once about a year ago, I think basically since the last time we really toured, like last June or whatever, I feel like it's just been on, turbo mode and like, you just can't even keep up. I mean, obviously you guys do an incredible job of keeping up, but it's like, it's a full-time job for a big team of people to be able to keep up with all this stuff. It's absolutely crazy to me.
Right. I mean, we're absolutely indebted to you guys for doing this, right? Because
100%.
I could not keep track of all this stuff, make all the conclusions, to collect all the information. And that, when things go wrong, I got to go back and reference all this and make sure that my ideas are consistent with the realities that have been observed.
100%. Yeah. I have to do the same thing. Like half the time if I'm like, wait a minute, what was that? It might be one sentence. I'm just trying to finish that one sentence. And it'll cause a 2-hour long, like, scrub fest of, like, trying to figure out what exactly. And 99% of the time, it's looking back at something that you guys did. So it's like, it's like being documented piece by piece.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
record like a video and say like to some point I'll say one line and I'm like, wait, do I know that's true? I think that's true. I gotta make sure I know this is true. And then massive quest. I could just cut the line out, but no, I want to know at this point.
I'm always afraid to watch Scott's video. Like I'll see it. Like if something happens, like the Booster 18 incident, I'm like, oh shoot, Scott just posted it. I'm like, I'm not gonna watch this. I don't want to know. But then I always end up watching it. I'm like, dang it. I was always hoping he didn't notice that, but he did. So you're really good at catching stuff. So
I woke up in the middle of the night for that one. That was weird as anything. I'd set my alarm because I wanted to wake up to take pictures of Comet Atlas because it was going to be the only clear night, the only chance to get it. And so I'm up at 4 a.m. and people are like, oh, Booster 18 exploded. What? And I'm literally wearing that red dressing gown because it's like cold.
You're already in the
I was already in the dressing gown of doom at that point.
So maybe you caused this.
So.
I'm noticing
that is getting locked away for the next launch.
That's so awesome.
one of the things that Tim, I hope you can get some information on, and I'm glad I finally have a chance to tell you that with them having removed the first original launch mount, I'm curious if you can get us some more information on things that they learned, like specifically with the whole deluge plate thing, like did it turn out worse or better than they thought it would? Like were there major issues that they noticed? You know what I mean? Like the way that they stripped all this out and then sent it straight to a scrapyard and without, we couldn't really see the condition of anything like this. Like I am very curious to know like some of the big lessons they've learned. One of the, not only just with the launch mount, but, catching the vehicles. One thing that we have seen this week, which is interesting, they've been making some pretty massive upgrades to the chopsticks. And for everybody in the chat and whatnot, I am skipping around quite a bit. I will go back to other areas a bit later, but yeah. So this week they did make some pretty massive changes to the chopsticks, specifically with the actuators. And this is crazy to me because they're already. And sorry, I'm like talking and trying to find an image at the same time, but they've already shrunken the chopsticks, which you think take a lot of load off of the hydraulic actuators and whatnot. But they've also this week swapped out the actuators, and they are absolutely massive. You can see down here, and, like they're huge. The diameter of the actual
of the piston.
Yeah, it's insane. And I don't know, Alex may have something to add to this too. It's hard to compare this to the ones before, but I mean, they weren't basically matching the diameter of the casing like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. That seems absolutely wild to me. So hopefully we'll see those things fire up and move like crazy. Just the fact that they shrunk them alone speaks volumes. Like, it's almost, it seems so comical at first, the whole idea. And then then you think about, okay, now they have this length of arm, and that length of arm is kind of their margin, at least in one axis. It's like, okay, that's great. And then they land it and they nail it, and they're like, oh, we don't need, screw all this margin. Let's just cut these things down already. And then, yeah, it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy.
First time a vehicle lands towards the back, they utilize more of the rail, people are going to freak. So,
yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of another thing that has kind of been going on here is that they are making additional modifications on the side of the chopsticks. So like we can see they've that one thing that I was worried about was, the ship in particular. So like the booster seems to be fairly easy to line it up exactly where you want it. But I always kind of was hesitant on whether or not shortening was a good idea, specifically for the ship. But it seems like they may possibly be adding additional margin or length to this. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but they have added some additional diagonal beams or pipes onto these chopsticks to kind of support the end a little bit. So I don't know if that means they're lengthening the landing rail on the chopsticks slightly, but whatever they're doing, they want some additional support right here, which kind of tells me that they may be adding additional margin for the vehicle to land further along the chopsticks. And oh, sorry, I did have somebody just sent me a little comparison that I may be able to show here. So this is the old actuators versus the new ones.
That's like beyond double the diameter, it looks like.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Whoa. That's a chonk. That's a chonker.
I mean, this kind of tells me that they're getting simulation data that tells them they need to do certain things, like, and I wonder if it's just as simple as like, oh, well, we didn't really estimate this properly on the kind of forces that we're going to be experiencing here, or if it's more of a, hey, we want to start doing this with the ship or booster now, so I think we need to add reinforcements here in order to allow us to like do things that we weren't previously expecting that we were going to do.
Yeah, if I were to take a guess, it's probably the latter a little bit more. Like, someone probably figured out, hey, we can, save this much propellant, whatever, blah, blah, blah. If we come in a little bit faster, blah, 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 don't hover as much. And someone's like, well, I guess we could just speed the chopsticks up, and then we don't have to be in that in-between state as long, whatever, some trade. And, or maybe it's just even a matter of, like, just overall, like, beefiness, and then being able to like handle rapid reuse and having, I don't know, it's hard to imagine what all that thing has to go through during a landing.
You have to appreciate that these big actuators not only help them move in faster, but help them slow down more quickly before they hit the booster, right? So it's acceleration and deceleration that it gives you.
That's a good point.
Alex, will the larger diameter actuators actually allow them to deploy the arms faster?
It should. I mean, you have a greater surface area that your hydraulic fluid is interacting with, so you can apply more force.
Yeah, this feels like something to do with the ship to me, because you're already possibly coming in from a weird angle, and it may still be like, rolling a little bit as it's kind of coming in and going vertical. So I do wonder if maybe they want to leave the chopsticks open longer, or close them super fast.
And maybe it's also like it can't slide down as much as the booster can because it has the rear fins, the aft fins.
Yeah.
So they really only have that tiny section to have them really close. You can't have them. The booster more or less, it can slide down from the basically from the very aft end. Forgetting kind of the chines and stuff, but like it's a lot more forgiving in that sense. You can't do that same thing. You can't crush it into the aft flaps and have expect to have rapid turnaround of the vehicle for sure. Yeah. So maybe some of it's a little bit of that, just knowing it has a smaller physical window to grab into.
Yeah, the landing profile for the ship is going to be kind of crazy. That's one of the things I'm most excited about for 2026 is seeing that happen. Especially with the basically expecting it to almost fly over South Padre. That's going to be kind of crazy to watch.
Yeah, is that what it's going to do? Is it doing like the big drift maneuver over from the north in? Do we know that for a fact? That's at least what's been published.
So, I think the space engineer, I don't know if y'all, I'm sure y'all follow him, probably has kind of like figured out a lot of this stuff based off of the last flight, the maneuver that it did, and kind of like overlaying that off of this map. And so it seems like it kind of, and maybe on too small of a scale here, but it seems like it kind of wants to, they're planning to bypass all of the major cities. And so they're kind of trying to get it into this gap right here. And that's where that you have that big aero braking maneuver where it basically glides in through here, which is interesting because it basically puts it over water. And so, I mean, if you're watching on South Padre, it's basically going to travel through here on its way down.
So crazy.
Yeah. Seeing that over your head will be wild.
I don't
really
know.
Hopefully you make it down there when they at least do the ship. If there's one that you finally make it down there in person to see, that would be the one.
I don't know if that's the actual
That would
flight
be special.
profile.
I'm
He's
like I
using
said,
an
I'm basing this
unapproved.
purely off of the recreation from what happened with Flight 11.
Yeah,
Have you seen something different, Alex?
Their approved launch profile they'd be coming in from the south, around
yeah.
Mexico City, not over Cali and along skirting the border. So where the actual turn would be is probably more over the Gulf, at least for the first few launches.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is just to go to Mexico instead to get that same thing.
Exactly.
I just hope that we don't have parts. I just hope we don't have parts falling off, by the time they bring it back in, because that's one of those things is like, currently you still have little anomalies here and there, and all it's going to take is one little, 100-kilogram chunk of steel that had popped off at one point, falling down somewhere, and that could be catastrophic. So I really hope the next few flights they bring it down completely intact, like 100% before they even consider going for and I'm sure that will be the case before they consider coming back around for. Do you guys think it's going to be like? I think Elon said at best would be like Flight 13, because for sure they would need to prove out, on the next one, prove out. We probably won't see any catch on the first V3, right? Because they won't want to bring the first booster back in case it has a problem. And then obviously the ship, same type of thing. You got to at least prove that one out. So I wonder if it'll be. I almost feel like it might be Flight 14 before they try to bring a ship back.
They could be planning 13, but that's the absolute earliest, and we know things go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I personally feel like they'll probably do crazy stuff with the booster for the next 2 launches. Like the next one, they'll probably kind of just do basic landing maneuver out in the water. And then the one after that, they'll probably do something really aggressive, and then actually bring it back the next time after that. And it seems like specifically with the booster, the performance increases are going to be pretty crazy as far as the maneuvers they want to do, just the overall power. It's going to be pretty crazy, and I think just the performance changes that we'll see with the booster may be actually a bit shocking. I wish they would leave the telemetry up, because they keep they'll duck booster or ship, they'll go full screen on something and duck the booster telemetry, so you can't get a full stream of telemetry anymore.
It's intentional, I'm pretty sure.
I know it's gotta be.
Have you guys not set up multiple cameras and triangulated the booster? We can do this. We have the technology.
We have the time, though.
I've been doing aircraft tracking with multiple 360 cameras, so
really?
Booster tracking should be easy.
Yeah.
Come up with some plans.
One thing, the Starship coming back, I don't know if you've thought about this, but they're going to need an offshore dumping location if anything happens during the terminal descent. They're going to have to figure out a place where they can put it that isn't the landing site if they realize that it's gone through the re-entry and it's no longer in a state that is able to guide it down to the catch. Where would that be?
Well, this was the map right here, and hold on, I don't know if there's 2 different ones. Yeah, this is a wider view. And Alex, you're saying that this is not the path?
No, that's the
descending node.
Future. That's the future path. If they get the approval to launch 40. Basically, this is what estimates that would take them over Florida.
Okay. Well, I guess using that path, though, they should be able to just bank over into the ocean, right? Fairly easy.
Yeah, it's the, 60,000 feet down is the flight data I'd want, just to see how much downrange maneuverability they have while they're.
Well, the way they want to think about this is, with the Falcon 9 in particular, when it's coming back for an RTLS, it can't make it back to land basically unless all systems are functioning properly. So its default ballistic trajectory will have it short and it will not end up on land. So it needs to use the grid fins. It needs to be pitched over. It needs to be able to do, all the maneuvers to be able to get itself kind of back over to land. So kind of by a default, and if something's catastrophic, like what we saw, I guess, with what was that one, CRS 20 or whatever, or one of the first Block 5s.
CRS 16 was the one where it went spun out of control.
16, yep, there we go. Thank you, Scott, the encyclopedia. Where it didn't have control authority with the grid fins, and therefore it couldn't hold that attitude to be able to bring itself, the rest of the dog leg over. You would expect that they would make the flight profile in a way that if something happened with the flaps or they had a breakup, all of that would end up beyond downrange. It's going to require a lot of braking and a lot of control to be able to actually stop itself and kind of make its way down. Do you guys kind of agree with that assessment?
I think that's not the way they're flying it, because they are generating lift. So they're actually stretching their landing point during their glide. But
because they have to control peak temp.
Yeah, because they have to control the peak temperature. Now, they could possibly stretch that further if they need if there's a problem. But if there's any breakup in flight, the debris ends up falling short. Look at, of course, this Columbia is the obvious example of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think to some degree, they're being in their location that they are in South Texas helps them out a little bit, given in the future, if they are following this path, you're pretty far away from populated areas, at least as long as your breakup happens within this area.
Well, go to that wider view, though. Look at if the problem is, if say you have a problem where you can't even do your banking turn, now all of a sudden look at the trajectory, the straight line, and now you're raining debris down on Brownsville, basically. And it's like, how do you avoid that? What's the mechanism in which you have confidence to be able to do something like that? Because we're talking about more mass at a greater velocity than something that's ever re-entered. We're talking about
and less demisable as well. Like the space shuttle was made of the aluminium, which just disintegrated. This is stainless steel. It's tough. We've shown how tough it is through several successful landings, and that definitely helps our case. But it's, again, the worst case scenarios are worser.
Yes.
I know. Worst case scenarios are less likely to happen, though. I mean, given what we saw with the last two flights, like if you get actual punctures on the tank and it's still, maneuverable and able to land, like I feel like the likelihood of a catastrophic event occurring like that seems low, in my opinion. As long as they don't have an actual hardware failure where they actually lose control of the flaps, I feel like, partial disintegration is not enough to stop Starship from returning.
The basic fact is there's no place where they can have a launch point and a landing point at the same place where they don't end up either launching over land or landing over land. That's just
for the old oil rig thing.
Yeah. Launch. Bring sea launch back.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I agree. No, I don't want that at all. But you could see a world where once this whole system's kind of solved and the rocket is flying regularly without all the teething pains and the launch infrastructure is holding up, there might be substantial consideration I guess a lot of positive things out of potentially flying it from a sea launch platform, at least as far as like a public safety and a public nuisance aspect, as far as those things are concerned.
Right.
Especially from Florida, where
because that's going to be a major factor. If you're really launching these things once a day, landing these things once a day, we're talking about a pretty substantial disruption. I mean, that probably won't be favored upon too much by people for too long.
That's one of the things I've been thinking of, like with when they have their two launch pads down here, and just with the clear expectations that we're probably going to see out of the Gigabay, like in Star Factory combined, the launch rate, that 25 launch limit that they have, in my opinion, won't last through 20. I doubt that they'll even hit 25 launches before they increase it. I expect them to jump to 50 before the end of 2026 as far as what their minimum launch per year is going to be.
And the ASU definitely supports that assertion.
Yeah, actually, and maybe you have something you can add to that, Alex. So with the air separation plant, so for one, they have lots of big things that going on. I'll glance over a few really quick. So they are doing. You would think that they were finished, but they're still doing even more expansion on the tank farm. So it seems right now that they want to maximize the space that they have here, or maximize their usage of the space. So getting rid of these small tanks, one thing that we've kind of seen over the last week or with this flyover is that they've started to break out what we call the Lego pad. So this is part of the foundation of where the vertical tanks used to sit. And so we see them digging out a little square pad right here, and probably going to be adding new large horizontal tanks, which we've seen at the port. They have 3 large horizontal tanks waiting to be installed. So it appears that they may go in this area. So they're increasing. I think that'll be methane storage capacity, and then obviously with having the air separation plant over here. Now that they've gotten the first of these components installed, the drive motors, I think we have a little bit more information as far as capabilities of this. And Alex, did you look into that a little bit?
A bit. It's around 150 kilowatts a ton for the primary compression. Theoretical is around like 102, but those are 12.2 megawatts each. So it's around a 2 to, depending on how they have it ratioed for how much they're biasing LOX over nitrogen. It's around 2 days to fill a full stack worth of LOX,
Wow.
I believe. Yeah, it's.
Wait, sorry. How much energy did you say each of the drive motors are gonna require?
They're 12,200 kilowatts each.
12,200. So 12 megawatt compressors.
Yeah. So
Okay.
24.
Pretty close to 1.21. No, never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
24 megawatts. I mean, yeah, doesn't that put it kind of on par with a roughly like a 2,000 ton per day ASU or something like that?
It's pretty up there. Yeah, it all depends on how they're biasing and how much waste flow versus, since they're not going to generate a lot of the high pressure nitrogen or oxygen streams. They have to spend more time in their column, even though modern ASUs, you're compressing the LOX before you gasify it, since it's a lot easier to compress a liquid than it is a gas. But
So essentially they should be able to produce enough LOX to launch once every 5 days, once a week.
Yeah, or twice a week probably.
Twice a week?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be 100 launches a year?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, that gives us a pretty good insight, I guess, into their future plans on what we should probably expect them to expand to, and even, I mean, they could still achieve a higher rate than that, given that there's another air separation plant being installed in Brownsville, which is really odd to me that there's 2 of them, because if this one is able to meet 100 launches per year, like, it almost seems like they built the other one without fully expecting that this one was going to get approved as well. But
I didn't think this one was going to be. Aren't they working on one in Florida that's bigger than this one?
Well, I don't know if we know the size of the one in Florida. Maybe we do. There should be one on the LC-37 pad. I think they'll have an air separation plant there. Oh. But this one, they just are nearing completion on another facility in Brownsville, which is weird because, like, the only customer, as far as I know, that would need anywhere near that amount is SpaceX. But clearly they have their own source directly on site. So it's curious what's going on.
But you're going to need that, though. Like, if they're talking, in order to do Artemis 3, you have to be able to launch this thing back to back to back. I mean, within days of each other, so and in order to have any margin, any backup launch considerations and stuff like that, or scrubs, you're gonna need a lot, a lot. This thing has to fly so frequently that it gets downright boring. And in order to make Artemis 3, in order to land on the moon happen, just think about how much liquid oxygen that is per mission, basically. If it takes 15, each mission, I mean, that's like just an absurd amount of liquid oxygen.
Right. I want to get your guys' opinion on another big topic, which not necessarily related to these flyovers, but before we do that, I do want to touch on the fundraiser we have going on here, because it's been a while since we've mentioned that. So, Astro Joe, did you want to give us an update on where we're standing on that fundraiser?
Yes, indeed, I would love to, but I do know that Scott is short on time, and he would like to do a sign-off.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually going to make part of my sign-up to say it's amazing to see that the number raised has actually almost doubled since I arrived. We're up to 6,366 for St. Jude, so congratulations to everyone out there. But yeah, I have to go and do other things, Christmas presents to buy and whatnot. But it's been fascinating talking about this. I've learned a lot already, and I look forward to seeing this continue to go on and more investigations. And I'll see you guys next month in Austin, right? I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.
Thanks for joining us, Scott. Appreciate you.
Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks so much, Scott. We appreciate you, man. And thank you, Tim. We appreciate you being here as well. Well, we've got quite a bit raised going on here since the last time I came in. We are indeed at a total of $6,366 so far. We are getting close to our 10,000 goal for this year. We had a lot of anonymous come in, one especially with a $1,000 anonymous donation. So that currently brings anonymous during this segment to 1,470. And I do want to thank everybody individually who came in. I've got an Astro Knucklehead with 20 Canadian dollars. Lewis Nags, 15 pounds. Adern Bunky, $50. Fawzilla, 20 pounds. Spanky Drummer, $20. Raptor 2, $20. Figure It Riddle, $150. Thank you so much. Papa G, $20. Petrie, $20. Drew Nar, 50 Canadian dollars. Patrick Wunsch, 20 euros. BJ, our very own guest commentator, our friend BJ, $500. Thank you so much, BJ. Makes a huge difference for these kids. Jeff Clerk, $50, but thanks anyway, Add Astro Global, $100. Our very own Matt, turning the knobs and pushing the buttons, donated 20. And Indy Star, thank you very much, Indy, $50. Johnny Bubba's, 20 euros. Philakid, our good friend Philakid, $250. Thank you so much. Miss Ad Astra 2, $50. Starbase France, 20 euros. Beth Garrison, $50. And Dave Avery, we all love and know Dave Avery, $250. Thank you so much, everybody. These kids at St. Jude are gonna just be stoked. I mean, it's so important what we're doing here. Thank you all. You may carry on.
Awesome. Thank you again to everybody who donated. Really appreciate all of your support.
Awesome.
It's really awesome.
And thanks RGV for putting this together again. This is great. It's awesome to get the community together. I love this community, and I love what we're talking about. It's fun stuff, but it's even cooler when we all get together and do something positive. And I also a little tip to the hat to Jared Isaacman, who I think really has been the biggest champion of St. Jude for a lot of us spaceflight fans. And so it's been cool to be able to see that continue on. Beyond that, that's awesome. That's just really, really encouraging and wholehearted. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Tim. That's why we're here, buddy.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jared Eisman. That makes me think of another major change, which actually occurred, or I guess I wouldn't say a change, but breaking news from like last week, which I personally usually like to stay out of like the political aspect of things, and this is not necessarily political, but in a way it is. So with SpaceX, or I guess Elon specifically mentioning the possibility of SpaceX going public, and that kind of surrounds the idea of basically putting data centers in space, right? Moving your compute power from Earth into space, and it's kind of like even a bigger venture, I guess, than Starlink. And this has kind of led to SpaceX, or Elon specifically, floating around the idea of taking SpaceX public. I'm still curious whether or not they'll actually do that. But my thoughts, I guess, to you, Tim. What are you thinking about that in particular? Do you think it affects their long-term goals as far as the Mars mission? Because most of the time when a company is public, and this is something that a lot of people have mentioned, almost everything they do is related towards profitability for return on investment for investors, right? And there is no return on investment for Mars. So, do you think that this is at risk of changing their long-term goals?
I have a lot of feelings about it. I have some that are, I think it's totally fine, blah, blah, blah. I don't know much how the structure can work, whereas like when you spin out an IPO, can you separate and have like, can it still be primarily like, privately held funds with just like an X amount of it as an IPO for the public to be able to, take a stake in it? Or is it like you do the whole thing as an IPO? Because if there was like a little branch of it or something, especially like if they made it so Starlink or whatever could be an IPO, spin off as a separate IPO, I would love that, because then I feel like it could really raise capital, and then people could get invested in it, whatever, yada yada. But it wouldn't potentially hinder the possibility of all the big risk taking things that we love so much about SpaceX. And because the market these days is so reactive to complete futures that like it's not set up well for spaceflight. We've seen it with Rocket Lab stock, where for years it was like just not reacting the way you'd think it would react to launch success and launch failures and all. It's just like, what is going on? This is just, this is just wacko land. And then, but at the same time, we can look at, Elon's influence still at Tesla is obviously pretty unmatched, I would say. It seems like he more or less still can do whatever he wants there, and it seems like the executive team there does whatever they want, basically regardless of what shareholders seem to want. So maybe they would operate under a similar way there as well, if they did fully spin out as an IPO. Those are kind of my thoughts. I don't know. I'm like down the middle on all of it. Like, it's like, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe as long as it doesn't interfere with their ability to, rapidly prototype and do big ambitious things in Mars and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I'm kind of split on it. I personally, and I wanted to get Scott's opinion on this because I wonder if he would have said his real opinion. Because he is one of those people who, if there was one space YouTuber who probably expected SpaceX to go down this route and pursue something other than Mars, like another goal that was like secretly in the plans the whole time, it would probably be Scott. I think this entire time he's been probably expecting that SpaceX had another like ulterior motive for something else. And so if anybody wasn't surprised about that announcement, it would probably be him. So I'm curious. I'm curious what he thinks. But yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I don't know how you can do both at the same time, honestly, because with that, having to, I mean, even if Elon owns like 40% of the company, it's not like, well, my 40% goes to Mars. The part that you guys are investing in goes towards what you'll actually be receiving a return on investment on. Like, I don't think that works. I don't think you can just split off functions of a company that way without having a whole separate company like Starlink being its own entity. I don't know if that's the case, like that entity for this, data center in orbit would have to be its own separate thing. So that wouldn't be SpaceX going public. That would be whatever this entity is called going public. But it seems like it's going to be SpaceX. So that kind of encompasses everything that SpaceX does. So I don't know. I'm split on it. I'm not like a doomer who's like, oh, this is the end of the Mars mission. But I am definitely like concerned about what that means for the Artemis mission and beyond.
Well, for me, I don't quite understand why they would even necessarily need to raise that much more capital when their valuation is already so high on the private market, and when they are basically making a very healthy profit right now with Starlink. And as Starlink continues to expand and grow, like how much more money do they? You know, I don't know. I feel like they. Like, don't you mostly spin on an IPO in order to raise capital to be able to do like the next thing? And like, they're already building launch pads and, you know, factories and all this stuff galore. Like, how much more capital do you need? And can you not just get that capital on the private market if necessary? You know, I don't know. It's right. That's the stuff that I'm kind of confused by. Yeah.
Early investors to get their money out would be the main driver. And at future date, you can do if the data center pans out, the AI stuff, and Starlink, you just spin those out and just do a reverse buyback to maintain your core. Because right now, it's just it's sort of an accounting gag. It's sort of not. They have to be, all the Starlink missions have to be being launched and accounted for as if it was a separate entity launching them. So you're sort of, all that money you're making, Starlink shouldn't be making any money right now, if not a small loss. But all your launch expenses, you can just pour straight back into R&D. So there's the whole wonderful world of finance.
Yeah. Don't even, I'm accounting is not my strong suit.
I know enough to stay away.
Dang. So Zach, what do you think about what do you think we're going to expect to see hopefully in 2026? Do you think we'll get, tell me the milestones in a rough number, what you think we'll see this year?
I mean, I feel like 2026 might be their most important year so far. You know, I think it's financially their biggest year too, because they just have so much happening at the same time. I mean, never have we seen them do something like they're doing right now, where you have a Star Factory still trying to kit out. You have 2 gigabays under construction, another Star Factory that needs to be started sometime soon. Finishing up this launch pad, redoing pad A, then 39A, 37, 2 launch pads there. So basically 4 launch pads in various stages of construction at the same time. It's a lot. I mean, I feel like we're on the brink of craziness, where they'll just like rapidly exceed what they're doing with Falcon 9. I imagine that may take 3 years to do that, but like I believe in 2026 they'll like start to hit a real stride where to some degree things start getting boring in a way. Like we're not really seeing incidents. Nobody really wants to see these incidents happen, even though they do make things a little bit more entertaining, I guess, to the audience in some ways. But at the end of the day, nobody really wants to see that, any failures, right? So I think this first round of flights with the version 3 vehicles will be the most telling. You have so many big changes to both vehicles, and introducing Raptor 3. I'm hoping that we'll see like a smooth transition, but yeah, I mean, I do think that it's going to be a very, very busy year, and I hope it starts off with not a bang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm hoping for, I'd like to see 12 flights next year. Would be the number that I'd hope to see. I think that'd show that we're on the right path for hopefully this system kind of being figured out. And milestone-wise, I absolutely hope to see an orbital, like a proper mission with deployed satellites that are doing work, like a real, not just dummy, but like an actual, a real mission like that would be an important milestone especially for Starlink. And obviously, all that said, I expect and hope that we see booster catches and reuses, ship catches and reuses next year. I think that's my target is 12, and for sure ship catch and maybe ship reuse. But better be seeing booster catch and reuse again. Like it's not a huge deal, and I really hope, like, now that we're seeing them basically stand up 4 more pads at the same time, they must feel pretty good, especially about like at least the tower and the catching, all the hardware there. I'm just shocked that they're going this deep already without really proving out the main, like the launch mount. Yeah, like they must feel pretty good about their design. But then again, they kind of did that as well, even with the old design. They started standing up other pads without even proving that one out. So I just hope that they take a pause of even just a moment, or like that there's not that overlap where they started working on something without proving this one out first elsewhere. But we're not far away from that, at least. So, we're probably within hopefully a couple months of seeing that pad go online, and then build it out as much as you want, But I just hope that they're not having to work backwards again too much.
Yeah, definitely don't want the situation that they're in currently with Pad A happening again, where they're having to redo Pad B or 39A as a result of things that they find out in the next few months. That'll. Well,
especially how chonky the infrastructure is. Just the concrete work alone and stuff of the new pad is like substantial. Yeah. It's very substantial. It's not just to remove a couple legs and a little. This would take. It just would be a lot bigger rework because it's obviously a lot bigger and better system.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you just talk about just the amount of concrete alone. I've kind of estimated that if you just look at the weight of the tower and the launch mount itself has increased by about roughly 10 to 15,000 tons between Pad A and Pad B. It's pretty insane.
Oh my God.
I guess one other question I have for you. Do you think that we'll start to see, now that I think they've kind of been clear that the Starlink PEZ dispenser loader is kind of their form factor for customers now to design around. Do you think we'll start to see customers announce this year, that they are building payloads for Starship?
That's a good question. Did we actually really see too many people? I mean, I guess it's a little different with Falcon 9 because Falcon 9 still had a traditional fairing and a traditional payload adapter always, so people didn't have to form fit to OG Starlink on Falcon 9. And obviously, the first versions of Starship will be that flat form PEZ dispenser. Commercially, I don't know if people are being told by SpaceX, just wait, we'll have the alligator chomper for more traditional payloads. You don't have to worry about it. Or if they're telling people, hey, if you want to kind of hop on in here, maybe some companies are reading the writing on the wall that, like, hey, if we want to get our satellite out, or a pair of satellites out earlier, it'd be easier if we did, conform to these form factors in this deployment. But I would kind of doubt if SpaceX is like actively recommending all customers like make their satellites that shape, just because it probably is not always a form factor that work for all situations. I don't know. That's a good question. I hadn't really thought about that too much though.
Yeah, I think that'll be something interesting to see this year as they get into launching their own payloads for real. I imagine they'll try to want to bring some customer payloads in, or maybe they'll just keep all that on the Falcon 9 side right now. And theoretically, they should be able to fill their own manifest with their own internal launches without the need for customer launches.
That's the thing is right now, the value to them launching Starlink on its own already, like even with Falcon 9, it's like there's a waiting list now to launch on Falcon 9 just because them launching Starlink is so valuable to them. And Starlink is that profitable for them to continue growing. It's like, Yeah, I can see them wanting to be their own customer for a very long time with Starship. They'll kind of have that monopoly and have that capability that no one else will have for a long time. And meanwhile, Falcon 9 can continue hopefully servicing maybe more commercial payloads if they clear up that manifest a little bit. But yeah, we're a long ways between those 2 points, I feel like, several years for sure.
Yeah.
This keeping that form factor also is a convenient way to sidestep some of the regulatory issues of, well, our vehicle can only hold this size object to satellite to launch. And then they don't have to worry about as much of meeting, sending the same customers the same price and worrying more and more about the old monopoly.
True.
Which,
well,
I mean, yeah.
Unfortunately, guys, it's 2:00 Central here. I have a video to publish. I have, sadly, a funeral to attend, and I have a birthday party to go to. So I have got the rest of my day pretty well stacked for the evening. So I better work on my sign out here. But I just wanted to take a minute again to also say thank you to everyone in the chat and everyone watching for fundraising for St. Jude. This is awesome to see. I love it. You guys have to give me an idea whether I do St. Jude or not. I was planning to do a fundraiser of some kind here in about a week. So maybe let me know what you guys want me to do. If we want more St. Jude, or if you know of another, another charity or something that you would like to see also involved in. But it's so cool seeing the community come together like this. It always means a lot, and it's awesome. And I hope that everyone has fantastic holidays and Christmases and all of the things. And pay attention. Hopefully later today, I will have a new tour coming out with Stoke Space, a very often asked follow-up to a video we did 3 years ago. So very exciting company as well. So hopefully you guys are excited about that. And meanwhile, we'll do. Hopefully, we'll see some of you guys down at Astro Awards in Austin, Texas, January 17th and 18th, and let me know what missions you guys think are the most deserving missions, the most inspiring and inspirational, important, and innovative missions of this current year of 2025. And let's get those people up on stage and give them an actual award. So, astroawards.live if you guys want to come attend. It's going to be awesome. And RGV area, hopefully we'll see some of you guys down there as well. Be sure to...
Yeah, I'll be able to make it this year finally. I haven't been able to make it. So that's my goal. I do have a few things that I'm trying to knock out before that, but I hopefully will be able to pull that off, I think.
Oh, I'll hit you up. We'll make something happen. Don't worry. Yeah, that's awesome. Sure. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody. Have a good rest of the stream.
Yeah, Tim, thanks for being here. Appreciate you, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Sounds great. All right, bye, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for your time, Tim.
Awesome. Well, really quickly, we are going to be bringing in Ryan Weber from NSF and Todd, but we will take a quick break, I believe. Just a minute or two.
Well, Abby, what are you doing?
I thought I'd give something to St. Jude.
Nicely. I thought that was my job. I think I'm going to make you an honorary elf.
Let's go!
Let's go. Giving back to St. Jude is a wonderful thing. Do you know there are many ways to give to St. Jude? Well, we can donate, we can fundraise, we can even volunteer as well. And we can encourage all those that we know to do the same.
Really?
Certainly. It is the giving season. May we all find ways to give back, and I hope that a lot of people will choose to give to St. Jude. Now, let's get those gifts out of the bag and let's see what we have here. Nicely done.
Monopolize the stream, Todd, when you're on it, so...
Yeah, right.
I wanted to butt in so many times during some of those conversations. I had to hold it and not unmute and say something.
I commend you for not. That's a good job. It was hard.
Hey, I understand, Ryan, the the suffering was real. I have a lot that I wanted to throw in, but it's like, nope, not today.
Yeah,
Was
I'll
there anything
finally
that-
make it to the Astro Awards too.
Was there anything at Massey's that we needed to still touch on? Probably. I'm trying to think if I need to go back there, or if I should start again at Sanchez.
Let's start at Sanchez because it's
about to say
mainly minutia of speculation on how they're reconfiguring. And they're obviously, you touched on already, is their complete change up on their testing procedure. I'm looking at 39.1, why they left it instead of rolling it back with the stand.
Yeah.
Are we live again?
So,
hi.
Sorry about that, everybody. We're trying to figure some things out here in the background, but we are back again. And we have Ryan Weber joining us right now. Ryan, thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure as always stopping by. Yeah, I wanted to say some things during these conversations, but it's always fun just to listen to Scott and Tim talk about stuff. So it was kind of fun just sitting in the background, listening to you guys having conversations. But I'm here now, and we can keep on going.
Yeah, I mean, if you have anything you would like to add as we get back to those topics, feel free to hop in. Todd is joining with us as well. And Todd, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, guys, I'll be really quick. This is something that's very personal to me. It's hard to talk about sometimes, but I know we can't always donate, or even if you can, there is one thing that everybody can do out there is to get on a bone marrow registry. There's different registries like DPMS, giftoflife.org, DKMS.org. They're free. They're easy. You can do it from home. Get yourself on a registry. It's a long shot. You'll match anybody, but when you do, trust me, I can tell you, it's freaking amazing. So get yourself on a list. It's easy, and it's definitely something everyone can do to help. That's all from me, guys. Have a great show. Good work, everyone. I'm so proud of you all for raising how much we have.
Yeah, and it appears that we are about at like 7,600 right now, so approaching $8,000. So wow, definitely far exceeded the past few years. So I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who's donated. You guys are absolutely incredible. And we will continue that throughout the stream. We'll check back in and see how we're doing. In the meantime, I did want to back us up towards some of the areas that we did pass earlier that we didn't really touch on. Just kind of wanted to keep us on topics that Tim and Scott would want to chime in on. So now we'll go ahead and back us up right now. So yeah, going back over to Sanchez. I don't even really know if it's worth mentioning this, but yeah, they do have some. I always like to check in on the ground fab building just to see what's going on here, and then do have some always turning out new like pipe manifolds and stuff like that. So I did notice this one this week, and it seems like they're preparing. This looks like a fire suppression manifold to me. You got like all these little pipes sticking off of it. So there's 3 of those currently. So I'm thinking we're probably getting a fire suppression system somewhere, whether that's at Massey's on the new truss structure, or if this is potentially something for like the integration tower, or even something just to do with Pad B. But yeah, so something to keep our eyes out on. Another cool thing that we've been keeping our eyes on is the transport stand situation. So not really much to mention on the boosters. Still working on converting that second transport stand. And with the ship, we've now seen this is the second transport stand, and they now have components for a third that have arrived. So very quick to get themselves 3 ship transport stands. So 3 boosters, 3 ships. Technically with the ship, like technically have 5 transport stands if you think about it. If you factor in the static fire test stand, that technically can potentially go between Massey's and the launch site. So technically you have 5 transport stands for ships right now, and I'm wondering if we'll see more, because I think that they are probably building out, they're likely to build out transport stands for Florida here. or maybe Florida will build their own, send them to Starbase for the first few ships that they're going to be transferring from Texas to Florida. But yeah, good to see them making progress on getting those up and going. And like I said, this is that third one over here. And the static fire stand, it looks like they've moved the parts, some of the parts for that static fire stand over to Sanchez. So those are back here in the corner. So I'm guessing we'll probably see them assemble that second static fire test stand here at Sanchez, alongside the cryo stand, which I mentioned earlier, that they are outfitting with clamps for the ship, which this did not have before. So a little bit of conversion on this needed in order to get it ready for ship 39. I know that some people thought that ship 39 was going to roll out this week, but this is the big thing they're waiting on for that, and also adding the actual ship QD onto the testing station. They do not have that yet. So yeah, not a ton to add with those. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure 39 does not even have all of its COPVs back yet. I'm pretty sure they took them all out. Maybe half of them are back in. I don't know if anyone's kept count, but pretty sure they don't have them all.
Yeah, and I didn't notice these before. This looks like a different testing rack for COPVs, which is weird because the one that they sent to Massey's was a vertical rack, and I didn't notice this one before.
The crates on the ground is how last week they were all stacked at Massey's. I think that's how they're transporting them.
These crates?
Yeah. The frame adjacent, I'm at a loss. Unless they just said, no, we have a easier way, and they went with the vertical quad stand that they're using.
Yeah.
Is that ship transport stand, has it got clamps now?
I think it might. It has these weird things coming up out of here, which seem like that, but I do think they still need to add the little like guide rails on the side. But yeah, I mean, if those are the clamps, then the ship is going to be like super low profile on this, which kind of we're expecting anyways. But there will be like no gap in between the stand and the aft skirt of the ship, so you'll never be able to see up underneath there. That's one thing that sometimes people have been able to figure out which engines are on the ship by looking up underneath those transport stands, but it looks like that's not going to happen anymore. The only time you'll be able to see it is when it's up in the air being lifted onto the booster.
Yeah.
So yeah, still a lot of workstations being outfitted out here for the Star Factory. So, I mean, as long as we see stuff out here, we know that the Star Factory is still not finished yet.
I'm waiting for the day, Zach, when all of a sudden it shifts away from Star Factory stuff to the 18 work stands they're gonna need for Gigabay, and all the work platforms they got to build for it, and all like the jib cranes they got to build for it. That's gonna be the day.
22 workstations worth of stuff they need to do, because they do have at I'm assuming they're gonna use these again at some point, but at the storage yard, one of their storage yards, they still have 2 of the turntables, and I think these have always confused me a little bit, because I think this is one for the ship, and I don't know if both of these are for the ship or if this was a booster, one for the booster, because they had 2 turntables in each of the bays at one point, and then they moved them out because they wanted to have 4 engine install stands for the ship, and then they only needed 1 stacking station for boosters. So I think one of these is booster. I think this is ship and this is booster.
I don't think they ever put a second turntable into Mega Bay 2. I think we all thought that they would, but they never actually did it.
Oh, okay. Wait, there was one in the high bay, actually. Sorry.
Yeah.
There was 2 in Mega Bay 1 and then 1 in the high bay, and I think that was this one.
I thought the complete one that was the one that was in the high bay, and the short one was never deployed.
But I think that's
Okay, that could be the case.
Well, I was
Um,
thinking that you do a line of like 6 turntables, or maybe you do a line of 4. I mean, the question becomes is, and this kind of goes back to them how they would fit out a Gigabay is, well, the way they stack boosters right now is they build the tank separately and then stack them. Are they going to keep that up? Or are they going to change the process and they're going to go straight top down, starting with the hot stage truss and go all the way down? But then how do you install the transfer tube? So that becomes kind of a. I wonder how they're going to do booster in Gigabay. That's my question.
Yeah, the transfer tube is the weird part about all of this, just getting it into this building. I mean, it almost seems like with these doors right here that if you had a large enough aisle between these two buildings that you could maneuver the transfer tube into into this aisle diagonally, and then that door is basically tall enough for you to start standing the transfer tube up in the doorway. But I mean, I suppose the other option is, which would be wild, is having to bring the tubes out on the highway and straightening them up through the door would be kind of hilarious.
That happened.
I mean, what they could also do, and they really also it entirely depends on their bridge crane layout, is they roll the transfer tube all the way into the transfer aisle, and then they use because I think with the layout BJ was thinking was they'd have like a pair of 400-ton bridge cranes or something along those lines, and then they could use 2 separate bridge cranes to make it vertical, disconnect one of them, and then line it up with the booster or something along those lines. Kind of like what they did with Shuttle and how they attached it to the external tank in the vehicle assembly building.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because, I mean, one thing we can see here as far as bridge cranes go, given that we got to go back to a different view. We can see that that doorway that they started on this side. So the fact that this doorway, they had to basically do this before they did the platform above it. So with that said, we probably are not going to expect actual doors here because they have not installed any of the overhang, what do you want to call it, the header for the door.
Yeah.
So these will probably just be open, which also kind of confirms to us that we'll likely see the roof from the Star Factory extended over the transfer aisle here. Before this building is complete, we'll see that because they won't have any doors that are sliding up and down. It'll just be open at all times, which honestly is kind of cool. If you ever had access to be able to walk through that aisle, you'll be able to just walk past the entrances of all of those bays. But yeah, I mean, then you have.
Yeah, like I'm just thinking of it now, a fully completed Gigabay, and it's attached to Star Factory. Say you start in the office building, and you basically stare down the nose cone production line, and you can stare all the way into the turntables for Gigabay, and then beyond the turntables are the final processing stands, and then there's the center wall of Gigabay, and then on the other side are the other stands, which are probably post-flight, post-static fire stuff. That view would be. I would love to see that view just once because that would be amazing.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that BJ has thought is that they may keep these, so that we are thinking possibly having 6 bridge cranes just to extend out into this aisle. So when you have your ring sections out here, that crane would lift it onto the turntable. I don't know how this works with aft sections, specifically for the booster. If those would have to be stacked in the aisle. I haven't actually paid attention to how they do the aft section in Mega Bay 1 currently, because I don't know if it goes on top of that turntable or not.
It seems like what they do is they stick the LOX tank over the landing tank stand, install the landing tank, and then they roll the aft in, and then I think they either they double lift it or they place the aft on the right turntable and then weld it on that one and then start the methane tank. Because I don't think they swap between the turntables because they never, at least from what we can tell, I've never seen them roll a ring stand in or something to place a completed LOX tank and swap the bridge cranes. So I think they do it all on the left turntable. So they might have installed a robot there now when they might not have had it before, but I don't know.
I just see BJ in the chat says you only need one crane. Where did it go? Bottom just uses the dolly cart. I don't know if he's talking about through the side doors right here, if he's talking about aft sections. Yeah.
Well, because the aft section uses the aft cart, the square, the thing that we thought was going to be for the Starlink loader, but ends up being for booster afts.
I hope he's not saying that they don't need a second bridge crane down here, because I feel like you have to. You can't with this platform here, like you can't do the double stacking like they do, where they lift the completed vehicle section onto the new ring section and then lift it back over. Like that would never work with this platform here. So I do think you need bridge cranes in each of these aisles. Really quickly, as far as Gigabay stuff goes, they have started to raise the tower cranes. So this one, they increased by like 7 sections. All of these sections that are on the ground right here got added to this. So it's pretty tall now. It looks like they may possibly be able to do 2 more levels before they need to increase it again. Yeah, so they've gotten this one, and I think they started this one this morning.
Sorry, BJ was referring to the transfer tube, because that's right. The aft end of the transfer tube has like a dolly cart breakover, so you only need one crane to lift it up. I forgot about that part. That's right.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So this second tower crane 1 started rising this morning, I think. I haven't looked at the streams yet today, but I'm pretty sure it did. So yeah, they basically had to finish the doorway over here. It was kind of like the last thing that they needed to do, the joining the platforms for across the 2 aisles right here. And so that was the last thing. And as they get higher, I think each level kind of gets slightly slower, because now on this side they have to do the this row right here, and then now also then the back side over here they have to do the I'm guessing platforms between here will go all the way up to the top. So a little bit more steel involved on each level so far, but after that it'll kind of be the same all the way up till you get to the roof. But yeah, the way it currently stands is about just over 2 weeks for each level. Might be slightly more, because as I mentioned a bit ago, they are seeming to focus on installing bolts right now. You can see them lifting the guys up here so they can get onto this top platform. So they do have the scaffolding, but I think they put a lot of components, like all of their hardware that they're installing in here to bring that up top. So just a ton of guys up there working to add all of those bolts in before they start that next level. There's just so much going on here. It's crazy.
It's going to look so, like, the farther they get, it's just going to be such a lattice work of steel all over the place. It's going to be cool once they start, kitting it out more and putting in HVAC, putting in electrical, everything is the higher they get. It's going to be pretty cool.
And speaking of Megabay 2, we, like I said, are waiting on ship 39 to, waiting for the test stand to be finished and the actual cryo stand as well to be modified with those clamps. And then 39 will probably go out for cryo testing soon, but they have started another ship test tank, apparently. So you can see in this corner over here. Yeah, this is a this is the turntable down here, and this is the ring section sitting on top of it. So, not really sure what that one would be. So they do have 39.1 is
The aft.
basically the forward, the methane tank, right? And it has 2 tanks, right?
I don't remember if it even has a common,
Well, it's definitely the
but I
aft
know it's
section
the
because
aft
it's on
section.
top of, yeah. But there's not really much change in the forward section, which is interesting. So I'm not sure what this test tank would be for. But I suppose it is possible that this doesn't necessarily have to be ship. It could be a booster as well. So I don't think we really know.
It's basically a set. It's a 4-ring section with stringers in it, and that's all it really is. I didn't see anything special on it. I don't know. Normally, this would be in between, like a top between domes, but I don't really know what they need to test. Unless here's the other thing: unless this is not related to Block 3, maybe this is HLS. Maybe this is tanker related. Who knows? This could be pushing ahead. We don't really know until they build the whole thing. So
Yeah, very true. Wasn't there another test tank too that was inside the Star Factory, or am I thinking of 39.1?
that might have been 39.1.
Yeah, probably was. Yeah, so moving on in the Mega Bay 1, we have seen the LOX tank completed on the booster, and it is now sitting on top of the left workstation. And then pretty much everything but the last section of the methane tank, and I don't know if maybe I missed that, if that happened the last few days. I think there's one more section of the methane tank.
Everything is in the Mega Bay. It took them 25 days to roll out every section. They still have to stack the 2 tanks together, which I don't know where the landing tank stand went. Did that go back? I'm trying to remember if that went back in Star Factory or not. But they used that last time to transfer the methane tank over to stack. So we're just kind of waiting for a stand to go in to then transfer it. And then that'll mark the full stack of 19, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do that by Christmas or maybe slightly after Christmas. So that would be a full booster within a month, which would be the quickest time. They would have cut their quickest time by half if you compare it to booster 17, which took them 2 months to stack. So then we'll see how long it takes them to get it ready for cryo.
Yeah, very, very impressive. And they'll still have to install the raceways, and I don't know if they've done the they did the autogen right already.
I think they did it. I think the 2 lines on the LOX tank. I think those are both done.
Still to do for the booster. Cool. Really quickly, I'm going to take us back to Sanchez because we got a little bit distracted there. So now somebody will want to see the chip QD arm for the integration tower. So I was looking for I feel like I don't know if we have a super clear image of this week or not. That might be the best we have right there. But yeah, you can see they've gotten a lot of the plumbing installed on the backside right here, and then the actual mechanism that swings forward for the flex hoses is installed in the front. So it looks like they will be installing those flex hoses soon. They are, I think they were, last time I checked, they were sitting in a box over here, all of those flex hoses. And then there are some other components kind of laying around here that may or may not go onto this as well. But they're cooking on this thing right now. They're moving super fast.
It looks so much better. Like miles and miles and miles better than what is currently installed on Pad 1 still.
Yeah.
And those are those 2 chopstick bumper sections.
Yeah, I was going to see if there was another angle of that.
The thing, circling back to the COPVs, since they're moving, it looks like assembling the new Stackfire stand and finishing up on the ship cryer stand, kind of sort of leads that that's a recent development. Since it's,
What do you mean?
Yep. Well, it's taking up room at Sanchez where they were previously building all of the stands and such. So since it looks like
Massey.
they're, yeah, Massey. So since it looks like they're moves that production here, and the only thing that's really changed is that huge segment of that's now being occupied by their COPV testing stations. That might just
Almost-
be a. Go on.
Let's say it's almost like they found something and they're like, we should test this. Is what it feels like.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that area back there was ever used for anything. I think that, most of the, like the static fire stand was built basically next to the ship crow stand at Massey's. So both of these were kind of in the same area as far as like where they were assembled at. So I think just in general, they've been doing so many tests with the test tanks that are there that they'd rather move this stuff here so they can work on them 24/7 instead of having to shut down for various testing events or whatever. And just in general, being in the way of everything else that's happening out there. So yeah, I think, just lack of space is kind of why they decided to move these out here. I don't know if there's anything else in. Oh, I guess we can mention the little Christmas parade stuff. So you can see all the little blow up Christmas items they got down here. We got a starship. The what is this one? Oh,
yeah,
a big astronaut with what's the hat that they've got
Sombrero?
going on here?
Sombrero,
That does not look like a sombrero.
or half of one, maybe.
Interesting. Yeah, and then we have Mechazilla down here with Super Heavy. So I think they've literally like rolled these down the highway once, and I don't know if they've done anything with them since then. But
It's their annual parade ever since they rolled out Ship 28 with Home Depot bought Christmas things.
I love that.
That was fun. I still remember we were going to stream that. We were streaming that rollout, and we're like, "Why aren't they going?" And then they start setting up all these Christmas decorations, and we're like, "Oh, really? Here we go." I think the only other thing to mention there is Ship 33, Block 1's payload bay. There's actually some interesting things on it. For one, you can just tell how bad their tiling was because that's a lot of glued tiles on Block 1. That's number one. That's bad. The other one is what's on the front side of it. If once Zach finds a picture of it, how might do it. Maybe. Either way, basically, they installed a set of brackets just below where the door is. And the door looks like it's a Block 2 door, but it's still in a Block 1 insert. So it almost is like they used Ship 33's old payload bay, Block 1's payload bay, to do some door testing while in Star Factory. So it wasn't sitting there doing nothing. It looks like they were trying to pull on the door. So that's why it stayed alive for as long as it did.
Yeah, interesting to finally see that scrapped. Just taking up space in the factory for no reason. Let's see, anything else down here? I did want to touch on one thing because I saw somebody ask in the chat. I don't know if Alex has changed his mind, but I'm pretty sure I revised my opinion on this after looking at it closely. We did mention this possibility of like this being an inflatable, like basically balloon right here. And I don't think that that's what that is. I think it's literally just a tarp. After looking at some ground images, it definitely cleared things up a little bit. So since somebody asked about it, I did want to mention that.
If it was a bladder, it'd be very weird to have it in that tank because it would not
Yeah.
survive one cooling cycle.
It would just crack and shatter and
Just be a mess.
and then have fun with those in your pipes, and it goes right into your engines. It's the recipe for great success.
Yeah.
Filter test.
Filter test.
Otherwise, on B-18's aft section, still working on scrapping that. Got some scaffolding up there, as you all can see. Nothing, not too many new details other than that, though, with that aft section this week. I don't know if there's anything else at Sanchez that we need to touch on. I feel like that's pretty much it. And we can go to back to the launch site, I guess.
Yeah, well, can't think of anything else really. I mean, well, the new markings around the natural gas sites. Other than that, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, well, let's go ahead and do that. While you're getting those questions together, did want to mention there are some sections of steel plating down here which appear to be like raw cut plates for possibly the top of the next launch mount. Kind of weird that they're here, but they may be assembling these here instead of. I don't know if these have even been perforated yet, so they may just be bringing pre-cut panels here and then temporarily storing them while they ship them out to the other locations to actually have those holes cut into them. And then there's also another new stand down here, which they're assembling, which we're not really sure what that's about. Could be related, may not be. And sorry, did you get those questions together, Matt? Okay. I guess Alex is going to be doing questions then. I don't know if he's with us. We may have to come back to those in that case. Sorry about that, everyone. We will try to get to those questions. In the meantime, I guess I think that we covered everything at the build site.
Accounts advancing.
Yeah, and there's just the Star Factory, which there wasn't really anything new outside of here this week. So, I suppose if folks do want to see the progress on the new apartment building, we can show that really quick. Glass is moving along pretty well. They're kind of finished sealing up the gaps between the panels on the parking garage. So, got some more work going on that, but not a ton to talk about there. Those of you who would like to look at these more closely, including the Village and Rio West, if you have access to the Flyover Gallery, feel free to go through those. And if those who don't have access, that's a great reason to become a member of the channel. And once again, I do want to thank everybody who's donated so far to the stream. I think we're inching closer to 8,000. We're at like 7,800, I think, right now. So getting close to 8,000. So I have a feeling maybe we'll make it there by the end of the show. I'm not going to dwell on the Village too much. I'll go ahead and move us back over to the launch site. And I don't know if Alex or if you had anything else that you wanted to add about the ASU that we didn't touch on before.
No, not really. I'm curious what they're rolling from the port. I think tonight.
They were supposed to be last night.
Oh, okay.
But it was kind of odd that they had a closure that went from production to Massey's and one that went from port to the ASU. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, I forgot to open these ones. So the port, they have all of these components for the ASU sitting down there. So these water tanks right here were actually removed from next to pad A. So these are probably getting shipped out somewhere. Then we have the 3 horizontal cryo tanks, which I'm assuming are probably going to be used for methane at the orbital tank farm. And then we have the large components for the ASU, which are sitting down here. And these, the Where exactly do these get installed at in the ASU farm?
The pad that they haven't poured that has all the embed plates.
So those get mounted over here at the cooling tower?
Yeah, the cooling tower isn't the low pressure cooling tower isn't here yet, just the high pressure. But yeah.
Okay.
And just real quick, Zach, Alex is not with us at the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and do questions whenever you're ready.
Cool. And I guess we'll just make sure they can hear you in the chat. Are you guys able to hear Matt?
Yep, I turned myself back on.
Copy that. All right, let's go ahead and get to those questions.
All right, first question from Booster 9. Why would SpaceX not test fuel transfer at the static fire stand? If not, then where else would it be?
In space.
Yeah, because testing fuel transfer on the ground is pointless. We know how to do that. They do it every time they tank a vehicle.
Every time they detank, yeah. I think that's... Yeah. I think, in my opinion, that was kind of part of the reason why they had the vertical tanks in the original tank farm, because they built their own tanks because it was essentially similar to a Starship, like the internal like pressures and all that stuff. I have a feeling they were intending for that to be similar, and that probably is part of the reason why they built their own storage tanks was related to that, in my opinion. But yeah, I that's why the whole orbital refueling stuff, like, I don't see how any of that would necessarily be tested on the ground, because of the QD. I'm assuming on the other vehicle will be similar to what's on the test stand. So I don't really see what you would be doing differently that they're not already doing. The actual locking mechanism between the two vehicles, I feel like you could just do that on the ground as well too, just to make sure those mechanisms are working properly. So I don't know necessarily what you would be testing on that stand. And as far as we know, the fuel transfer is going to happen at that QD, and there's not going to be a second one in the payload section, as far as we know. We don't even know if they're using separate tanks. As far as we know, they could be using the main tanks in the tankers instead of having separate tanks in the actual payload section. So, that's an unknown currently.
Me and Alex were having discussions on that, because it was like, well, if they use the main tanks, then you might have contamination from your autogen.
Yeah, that's definitely
true. But there's a lot of question marks on how they'll do a tanker. I think they have options on how to do one. I just am curious to see how they do it, more than anything.
Oh wow, looks like we just passed that 8,000 goal.
Yeah, great job, everybody.
Good job, everybody. You guys are amazing. Who got us over there? Was it Terry Pavlik?
Terry Pavlik, yes, indeed.
Sorry if I butchered your name. Thank you, Terry, for getting us over that. I wouldn't say it's our goal, but it was a goal that we were trying to hit. So thank you for getting us over that. It's pretty crazy. What was our previous best last year? Astro Joe, do you know?
Last year I think we made it to 47 something. Our best year was 2023. Jane's grabbing the papers for me. Last year was 4794, and then 2023 was 6009. So we definitely surpassed our previous years, and we're shooting for a lofty goal of 10,000 this year. But nonetheless, it's all great numbers for the kids, especially with Jared's donation coming in after we're done here.
Awesome.
I would like to acknowledge everybody since our last segment, but whenever you're ready, Zach.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll get back to the questions.
Cool, sounds good. We do have 463 that came in from anonymous donors, so thank you so much for all of those. I understand your want or need to be anonymous, but I'd love to acknowledge each one of you individually, like I'm about to do here with Ghost Rider for donating $50, Sputnik Geezer coming in with 20, Float Globe with $20, Chrome Kiwi New Zealand $20, Not Tom B with $50, my lovely wifey Astro Jen for $20. Apocalypse Cow, Danger Moo, $20 donation. Thank you, sir. Chrome Kiwi with another New Zealand 100. Amazing, Chrome. We appreciate you so much. Flatlander 1951 with $100. Followed by Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, with 250. Thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate your time and your donation today. So appreciated. Darth Lawrence, $20 donation. Yazada with another 20. I know he came in with a few earlier. Thank you so much for your continued support, Yazada. Andy Alder, 20 pounds. And Brian Cherries, $20. Felix 11 with $20. And there's that Terry Pavlik that came in with the 200 to bring us over 8,000. Thank you so much. And then Drew Nar with another Canadian 20. Thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate your support.
Awesome. Thank you again to everybody. And Matt, sorry, we only got to one of your questions there. We'll go ahead and address the other ones.
No worries at all. Next question's from Hunter925, wondering how did they remove the COPs from the ship, or the COPVs from the ship? Did they come out of the payload door?
Yeah, as far as we know, that's the only way to get them out. They seem to have been taken out of the payload door and then lifted down onto the ground from there.
Cool. A next one is from Maltero. Asks, the Pad 2 flame trench was dug a few meters wider than it needed to be. Do you know why? Says later it was backfilled after the walls were installed. Do you think they'll do that with the new trench as well?
Yeah, they needed to do that to get they wanted the water pipes to go down in that area. So, yeah, they'll more than likely end up doing that again.
Perfect. We have one from Float Globe, and I'm not sure if you'll know the answer or not, but I'll ask it anyway. They say, congrats on a great fundraiser so far. What got you guys interested in choosing St. Jude as the recipient?
Yeah, we've done St. Jude's every year. I'm not sure what I think Jared was the original motivator behind that. And, we had some ties with him and kind of wanted to support, his mission. So that's kind of where it originally came from. And from the beginning, he's always matched donations every year. So, yeah, that's kind of what started that.
Absolutely. It all originated with inspiration for a mission.
Wonderful. All right, the next one is from SJMK1. Do we know the rotation of workflow within the Star Factory?
No. I mean, the only thing that we've seen inside of the Star Factory, other than Tim's tour, and like the few videos that have been the interviews that have happened like right on the edge of the office building looking into the factory, that's pretty much all we've seen and through the windows here. So I mean, we know what happens in this aisle, and we know there's a press pit over here, and the rest of it is kind of a mystery. We know that what doors certain things come out of, but we don't necessarily know what is in which workstations and how it's all kind of situated. I'm assuming most of the booster stuff is in this bay over here, if I had to guess, and most of this is probably shipped, but I mean, there's probably intermixing going on all through there. So, we do see some booster aft section stuff happening over here, especially with the landing tank and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, it's without being able to get in there, it's kind of hard to know what that workflow looks like. And beyond that, they're not finished actually outfitting all of those workstations. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it changes every few weeks.
Yeah, guess we'll just have to wait for the new Tim Dodd Star Factory tour. All right, the next one is from Fawzilla. Is there a 2-year deadline for HLS now from NASA?
I don't know if anything has changed with NASA. I don't know if Ryan, if you may have anything to add on that. Like, I'm not sure.
I mean, they need, they're selected for the Artemis 3 landing. And that is, at the moment, I will say at the moment with emphasis, currently slated for summer of 2027. Are they going to hit that? I kind of doubt it. I would assume that's probably going to be 2028 at this rate, or later. It's hard to. You could call it a deadline, but it's also hard to put a deadline on something like HLS, especially with how complicated it is. Because they're not just building a lander; you're building an entire rocket system. That's kind of one of those asterisks that goes along with it. But they would like to have it done by Artemis 3 so the United States can land back on the moon and beat China. So it needs to be done by like 2028. So I guess you could say it needs to be done in 2 years, but
Awesome. All right, our next one is from Crane Man. Zach, what are your thoughts on the mystery objects, quote, arms, in the SPMT yard at Sanchez?
I'm not sure which mystery object he's referring to.
He's got arms in parentheses, so it might be something that, I don't know.
The claw.
Or get the claw back. Yeah.
I don't know if it's referring to these. Guessing.
Could be.
I have no idea, honestly.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, I'm not really sure on this, other than that they join together and it's like a kind of U-shaped structure. I don't really necessarily have any ideas on that yet. I feel like there's something missing from this that will kind of answer that, which seems to be the case with a lot of things over the last week or so.
Absolutely. All right, our next one is from Liftoff. Could they install the transfer tube in pieces, do you think, parallel to stacking the rings?
Yeah, they could. So they do have like there's a stand in the front right corner of Mega Bay right now, which has like a hole through the middle of it for the transfer tube. Theoretically, they could install welding robots on a stand like that and do that inner weld, which they already have to do anyways when they join the two tanks together. But I think that's a hand weld that happens there. But yeah, they could theoretically bring in each section of the transfer tube, like 4 ring sections for each, as they do stack the vehicle sections. So you bring in your tank section, drop the landing tank section or the transfer tube section in there. I personally feel like that gets away from what they would rather do. They would rather do as much assembly as possible in the Star Factory, but I suppose if they're limited on how they can actually move something that long into here, then that could change things. Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised that they don't leave this door specifically open so that they can lift something vertical from outside and then bring it in here instead of having to maneuver it into the Gigabay.
All right, and our next one is from Vaquero. Possibility of a high transfer aisle like in the Florida VAB?
I'm assuming you mean like moving something above between the bays. I don't think there's any reason to do that. So, no. I mean, these are essentially solid walls that go all the way up to the top. So they won't be moving anything between transfer aisles like that. Especially when you could just drive it out into the other side.
Right, right. All right, and our next one's from Brian Aries. Do you think they will be building all of the outfitting for the Cape Gigabay at Starbase, or do you think Florida will be building their own?
When you guys want to answer that?
I think Florida will build their own. I think like work stands, like I should say, transport stands will likely get built at Sanchez because there's the crews that know how to do it. But as for work stands at Gigabay, I truly think they'll build a production line over at Roberts Road because those crews are going to need to learn how to build all the work stands for Gigabay and possibly another two phases of Gigabay at Roberts Road. I would not be surprised if they build 3 full Gigabays at Roberts Road when it's all said and done, or more. Who knows? Plus the 1.5 million square foot factory they still have to build. They need to have crews that know how to do that, and it's far easier to build 9-meter wide work stands and work platforms in the abundance that they're going to need on site for that. They don't need as many transport stands, but work stands, that's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, the next one. Do you think that they will ever paint one of the ships or boosters, and which one do you think it would be if they do?
No. I mean, if HLS may get painted white, and other than that, the aft section of the version 3 booster may get painted black, possibly. The little skirt that goes around the bottom of it. But I mean, I think if that happens, it'll be booster 19 after cryo testing. Once it has engines installed, they may come back, and that's part of like the final outfitting. But as far as paint goes, I think that's about as much as they'll do. They don't really have a reason to paint anything other than HLS.
Depots.
Well, yeah, not only that, you guys have to think with all that surface area on the ship, imagine how much that paint would weigh. So we're just reducing the amount to orbit.
Well, you have to weigh it. You weigh it, lovely. You have to weigh the benefits and or the pros and cons of it. So I kind of expect depots will be all painted white to try to reduce, heat absorption and all that stuff when they're supposed to sit up in orbit with propellant on board. And I guess the question becomes: is our Mars ships going to be painted too? Because you got a decent voyage in space. Are you going to have basically one side with the heat shield, one side white, and you do the rotisserie barbecue basically with it? And you try to, and is painting that ship, is the weight for the paint worth the thermal pros of doing it?
Well,
I don't know.
Once they're in the interplanetary, you can just point the aft at the sun, and that's your primary energy source. So you don't really have to do the barbecue roll, except for if you want to bring some heat into more to the aft. So I don't think they'll paint them.
Yeah, me either. All right, and our last one at the moment is from Samuel Galloway. When do you guys think S-39 will roll to Massey's?
Yeah, that one maybe 2 weeks from now or something like that. So that really depends on the cryo stand clamps being installed and changing out the QD on that, the actual QD for the testing station. So those are the two big things that are probably holding it back. So I think at least maybe a week or two.
All right, and then we had one more roll in real quick from Drunar. Have we seen any hardware for solar panels on ships yet?
Nope. No, definitely haven't seen anything like that. I think that's even potentially further out than, I mean, you need that on HLS, but I mean, we'll probably see, that'll probably be like one of those things that gets added onto HLS after cryo test, like a final outfitting type thing, which means that we'll probably see like the thruster tests on that before we even see anything related to solar panels.
I would bet they have some kind of subscale or prototype or something in the Star Factory somewhere where they've messed around with it. I wouldn't be surprised.
And that's everything at the moment.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, returning over to Pad A, we did kind of briefly touch on this, but yeah, y'all can see that they've removed all of the remaining sections of that water-cooled steel blast surface. So most of that has either been removed or sitting out here. You can see the last little pieces of the actual water manifolds just laying on the ground over here. And I did see some cool images of a piece of the actual top of the deluge plate, which I don't have in front of me, or else I would show. Actually, let me see if I can just find that really quick.
I'll take a chunk of it.
Yeah, so this was posted the other day, and it's pretty crazy because it doesn't look, the holes are much bigger, first of all, than I expected, but this is clearly part of that deluge plate. You can see one of the holes in the sidewalls here. Yeah, but you can see what that looks like. Pretty big holes, and it's really near impossible to see any damage on this because first of all, it's upside down from what we'd want to see if we were trying to look at the condition of it, and it's been cut with torches all on the side, so you can't really make much out, but still pretty cool to see a little piece of that. But yeah, they've completely removed that, and I think they've removed the first 7 to 8 feet of the pile cap. There's 2 layers of that, which they've pretty much completely broken out the first layer. So it looks like they're about to get down to that next layer. You can see the sheet pile wall over here, which will likely get removed as well. Kind of needed out of the way for the trench, obviously, but yeah, they're making really good progress on all that excavation. They still need to get all of the underground plumbing out of the way, so I think they're right alongside it. I think it's right here that they haven't started on yet. So it goes basically into this little cover down here at the base of the integration tower. So they need to strip all of that out still and get the plumbing on this side, which I think they've almost exposed. I thought it was right here, actually.
I think that's part of the wall of it where you're
right here.
The culvert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be it right there. Yeah.
I know it bent around that, and then it went back into the tank farm, like a straight line
it
back.
comes down here.
Or something.
So still got to remove all that underground plumbing and all of the water plumbing down here, which I can't tell if that's a pipe. I don't think it is.
No, those are the pipes. Yeah.
Yeah. They've taken off the top layer of concrete for most of it, and they've cut right at the tower where my guess is the sheet piles will get started once everything else is out of the way. But they're already most of the main pile cap is already destroyed. It's kind of impressive how far down they already are.
Yeah, about halfway down. Yeah, you can see those pipes right here as well too. So yeah, making really good progress on that. I forgot okay, so that is the culvert right there. You can see they've started to break out the pipes from there. And then obviously still doing work on the chopsticks, and I don't know if they are there. You still see guys up there right now. Probably going to end up making the same modifications to these that they made, that they're still in the process of making on the other set. And then obviously they got to switch out the hydraulic actuators, and I mean there's still a ton of work that they need to do on that tower. Next to the tower, all of the water tanks are being removed. So the 3 tanks that were right here, I did show those at the port. So those have been removed. they got 4 more, and then I think they already finished removing the rest of these high pressure gas cylinders. I'm not sure, but yeah, making tons of progress on that, and still waiting to see it whether or not they're going to remove the QD arm from the tower, which we are expecting that they will. But I think they once this crane finishes up with what it's doing now, it might move over to that, or it might end up moving over to the tank farm to remove some of these tanks, specifically these 6 or 7 tanks. Sorry, 6 tanks right here. Probably expecting those to get removed.
I will relish the day when the singular tank that was installed and never used finally gets removed.
Yeah, it's very interesting conversion they have going on here. I mean, I would say this side of the farm is complete, and we'll definitely see a lot happening over here. I feel like with the 3 tanks that we see at the port right now, they may end up leaving these 2. So I feel like they may leave these 2 tanks and then install 3 more next to it. I wish they would put them over here, but they're going to need to leave the capacity that they currently have for those first few flights. So I think that prevents them from installing the new tanks in this location like they probably would want to. But I don't know. I don't like seeing them right here because just how close they are to the exit of the trench. But
I think
huge deal.
If I remember correctly, those 2 new massive methane ones, I think that's enough for a flight. I think it was.
You're saying these 2 by themselves?
I think they were. Unless I'm misremembering how much methane's actually in there.
Definitely not. No, I think this is enough for a ship. Maybe. But definitely
or if it was those 2 plus the other 2 big ones. And that was enough.
Those 4 are definitely enough.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure those 2 are as well. That R squared is
I'd say those things are those are huge tanks.
Yeah, but they're only 6 meters or something like that. And then I think even the 2 of these stacked on top of each other is not as tall as the methane tanks on the ship and booster. So, yeah. I don't know. Could be right. I doubt it. I doubt that's enough just in these tanks.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot. So, keep the running tally going.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do here. I mean, obviously, we are, like I said, expecting to see these tanks installed in this location, possibly even stretching down over to here in this direction, more than likely, I would hope. There's still a lot of underground pipework that they need to remove here, and even to finish the other piece of the foundation for this tank requires all of this wall to be removed and these pipes to be removed as well too. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing there. But as of right now, it does seem like we'll at least see some tanks installed at this location. I think that's about it for Pad A. I don't know if there was anything else y'all wanted to mention. We are at the 3-hour mark in the show, so y'all can't tell I am speeding us through this a little bit. Cool. If you guys don't have anything to add, I can go back over to Pad B, which I feel like we kind of covered everything over here except for the doors that they're installing. So they are still working on the doors. You can see they still only have one of them installed currently. But we do see a lot of hardware near the launch mount, which is related to those doors. If I can find the right image.
It seems because they installed one, then they took it out, and then they reinstalled it, almost like they were trying to figure out how to exactly install it and how it rigged right. And now I think they got it figured out, and they're all lined up, ready to go now at this rate.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of modifications that they're doing.
Yeah, and these right here appear to be the little hemispheres that the booster sits on top of. which go. So I'm a little bit confused on this part because I think they may have swapped these out for that load test that they were doing. And so they're putting the original ones back in. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure what's going on here. But it's kind of weird because they have these long struts on them, or maybe these are actuators. And I don't know if those actually fit in this location to go along down like that.
No, they go straight down. Yeah,
okay.
Right down the face. And those cylinders were what sit underneath the ball mounts.
Okay. Yeah, so there's those, and then there's also additional hardware right here, some plates, and also the linkage members for the arm for the doors. So there's a bunch of stuff that they still need to install down here. And I would say that feels like it's like the last thing they need to do to this launch mount finally.
Did they close up those ports yet on the plate? I thought or am I?
You're talking about on the side?
Yeah, on the
they closed them up right here, so they
yeah.
theoretically should be able to do a test of the deluge plate, but I think that they're waiting for these doors to be installed before they do that. Just so they can get water through the gaps.
I think all the doors will get installed and all the equipment will get removed. You'll have a nice, clean, sleek launch mount, and then they will do a full retract, extend test of literally everything, and then fire both deluge pieces. It'll be really, really cool to watch. I can't wait for that day. Getting closer.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see the retract when it happens, but
well, I mean, the BQDs we might. Well, if you get a right angle on it, you'll see the doors closed, but you won't see the. If you have a high enough angle, you might see the clamp on doors go down. You'd have to get the right angle though. I don't know. I don't know if they're sticking up enough.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll get us a drone view. They did with Pad 1 or Pad A. Have a lot of cool drone shots, especially when they were testing the Raptor QDs. So maybe we'll see something like that. But yeah, moving along quite well. Not a ton happening in the actual like water deluge farm / isolation area. They seem to be kind of mostly done right now. I do think there's still a little bit to do over here, but I'm not sure. In the water farm, they finished painting all of the pipes down here, and it seems like they're mostly finished.
Really feels like they're getting that close mark, and we're at. I think we're about the 19-20 month mark right now since they started the pilings for the tower, and that's where they're at the moment. So in less than just under 2 years, they've been able to go from 2 suborbital pads to a nearly fully operational orbital launch pad of a brand new design too, which is impressive.
Yeah, and it definitely makes sense why this process of getting the pad fully ready before they ever even start testing on it, it's kind of not surprising they didn't do that with the original pad, because we wouldn't have seen the first launch until maybe 2024-ish, early or late 2023. Actually, honestly, it probably would have ended up being the same, because they wouldn't have started testing vehicles as early as they did, but the first launch probably would have happened at the same time, if I had to guess. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else on Pad A or Pad B that we should mention. I feel like I've kind of covered everything.
My only question would be, do we know of any new developments or new stuff going into that new building down there? Like, the prison building?
The Eastern European Soviet building?
Right. I don't know if we've touched on that too much in the last few weeks or not.
No, because like you can't really see into there too well. Like you can't really see much beyond the windows. There are often trucks that are offloading equipment into here, but at this point, I don't think we even truly know what it is. Like to me, it's oddly starting to look more like a break room than like a than where all their controls are going, which is weird because this building doesn't seem complete. They laid so much conduit down here and they barely have any of it connected. So I don't know. I'm kind of confused about what's going on with this structure. Calling it the mega bunker almost implies to me that it will have controls and stuff in there, like basically be the larger version of this building. But there's no AC units installed anywhere on it. I think there may be some on the side, but yeah, I mean, the whole thing is weird. I'm really confused what's going on with the whole controls situation down here because there's nowhere near enough cooling on this building to do what they were doing. Actually, I take that back. All of the VFDs and stuff that are in this building were inside of the other bunker for Pad A. So that was like probably most of their cooling capacity that they needed inside of that building. So maybe this kind of takes the place of a lot of what was in that other building. Maybe.
And that concrete building must get really nice and hot, considering, like, man.
We also had a couple more questions come in if you want to take them real quick.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Lozio Bob asks, do we know if the water pump in the trench for the recycling the water to the tanks after testing are now operational or not?
In the trench?
No. It's the sumps in the trench, the pond now.
Yeah, I think they mean the pond, but they said the trench.
In this shot, I think you can see the top of the pipe, that corner.
Yeah, I'm just like sticking up right there for whenever they install the pumps in here. But nope, as of right now, they have not done that. That's why it's always constantly filled.
Cool. And then Vesek asks, what about removing the SQD arm on Tower 1 using the crane that's there currently?
I think eventually they'll do it. It's a matter of when that crane is available and when the area where it needs to be sitting is cleared and nice flat and able to take it off. Because there are so many changes to the new arm that the extension is likely to be scrapped. I would scrap at least the extension. Trying to mod the main arm, that could be interesting. They may just scrap the whole thing and rebuild it from scratch, but I do think the whole thing's going to come off because they have to mod the tower itself, and they can really only do that when they take the arm off. So,
right. All right. Our next one's from Nicholas Dornan. Could it be possible that SpaceX is building on this old propellant plant the new water tanks for the deluge system?
If you mean like where the old tank farm stuff is no, that's not where they're going to put the new deluge tanks. New deluge tanks are going to go basically where the old ones were and where the break room is, but they don't have the room to fit it all right now. They need to get land to do that. So that really won't be started.
Yeah, gotta wait for that extension. All right, then Lozio Bob. Oh, I'm sorry, that was a double. Crane Man, where did the pile driver go that came in at the launch site in parts on trailers the other day?
Sitting by the triangle building, probably getting assembled.
Where the what?
Their drill Bauer BG-39 showed up earlier this week.
Oh, yeah. I have a feeling that's for this foundation. Could be wrong, but it seems a little too early to be working down here.
Yeah. Yeah, they got a lot more concrete to go through first.
And it's much smaller drill rigs than they used previously.
And that was the last question.
Alrighty. Well, with that, we have definitely surpassed that 8,000 goal. We're at 8268. So definitely a really incredible the amount of support from you guys for the cause of raising funds for St. Jude. So really appreciate everybody who's donated. And even after the show is over, you guys can still donate for those who end up watching after it's live. So yeah, that will continue to contribute to the goal. How long will we keep that up and going? Do we know?
That's a good question. I'll up to Mauricio, but I would venture to guess probably about a week. I don't know. I personally would close it out Christmas Eve, but that's just me.
Alrighty, yeah. So those of you who haven't or would still like to donate after the fact, we will leave that up at least, I'm guessing, until sometime later in the week. So just keep an eye out on that. But yeah, I want to thank everybody who donated once again, and also big shout out to Lab Padre, Marcus. Sorry, thinking of Marcus House because he was going to be on. Scott Manley, Everyday Astronaut, Ryan Weber for joining us today. Definitely appreciate all of you for hopping in here. Obviously, Alex and Todd for helping out on the stream as well. And Matt for running the stream. Astro Joe for handling all of the donations for us. So thank you all for the amazing effort this week. And with that, we are not going to be doing a flyover this coming week over Christmas. So the next show, I believe, will be a year in review show. So I think Stephanie will be doing that one. And then I think the next flyover will probably be end of the first week of January or something like that. Not 100% sure.
Correct. I think he said it was going to be around the 3rd or the 5th.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Well, I don't think we'll miss too much in that time. Hopefully SpaceX takes a break as well, too, because I know they've been working hard. But yeah, with that, I will go ahead and pass it off to Alex.
Thank you,
Ryan.
Zach. I'll take it. And Ryan, Todd, Mauricio, Tim, and Scott. It was a fun show. And yeah, everybody have a great holidays and start to a good new year. I'm off.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure getting on, talking with you guys. It was cool to sit in the background listening to Tim, Scott, Zach, Alex, you guys all talk. And thanks to everyone in the background, everyone who donated. It's for a great cause, and if you celebrate it, Merry Christmas. I guess early Happy New Year, and or just a general Happy Holidays. But yeah.
Yeah, and a big holy crap with the $300 just coming in from Terry Pavlik and putting us up over $8,500. We are at $8,580 right now. It's just absolutely incredible. You guys rock. You did amazing with the donations, all the hosts and everything. Absolutely, it was a fantastic stream. And looking forward to doing it all again next year. Joe?
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. So much appreciated. The kids at St. Jude will certainly appreciate all of this. I do have a few more that I want to personally thank. Malte Ortloff did do a $20 PayPal donation. We were hoping to discourage that, but it did come through, and we do thank you. Mauricio will send that on over to St. Jude in the stream here just to balance out his taxes and stuff. But again, I want to thank Jimmy James, $20, Randall for 100, Methane Man for 100, Doc John for 20, and again, thanks Terry Pavlik for finishing off that $300 special donation to bring us to the top there. I appreciate you all. It's been a very fun stream, and thanks to everybody for making it come together. Most engines cut off, hot station confirmed. Love you. Bye.